How's that?
Mac Daddy vibe, yes.
That is awesome.
Awesome sausage.
Awesome sausage. Welcome, everybody. Two Bros Podcast, episode 15. Wow, episode 15. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
And to you as well.
Our final podcast of the year.
Final podcast of the year. Merry Christmas to all. Thank you. Thank you for the ice cubes.
A little celebrating, maybe?
A little celebrating. We started off the podcast with an inaugural Two Bros Pabst Blue Ribbon. And as you can see, we've upgraded to some
a little bit.
Smoky bourbon.
Some
Smooth smoky. Is that live?
Yes, that's live.
Yes, live. Were we on the gram or book?
No, we're on the book.
Okay, on the
our
book.
page on the book. So if
All
they're
right.
checking us out, hey.
Hey, Two Bros. Shout out. Man, that is good. Ooh, that is good.
Teases your nipple.
Yeah, some good bourbon. I mean, it keeps you. It's like a wino's warmth. A wino's warmth.
Yeah, that's right.
And we are warming up with some classic pizza.
New York pizza.
Yeah, how about you? You like funky pizzas? I remember we talked about being in Chicago.
The deep dish thing.
Yeah.
My only issue is calling it pizza. Because I don't think it's pizza.
Okay.
There's so much shit there, and there's no, like, you can't, like, grab it and decide you want to leave, and then, okay, I'll just go. No, it's
So is pizza the actual, at the act of...
It's like lasagna. It's more like
It is a lasagna. A deep dish is super like a lasagna. It totally has all the characteristics of like a casserole or something.
Right. It's delicious. The
Sure
place
is.
I went to, the place we go to when we go to Chicago was Lou Malnati's.
What?
Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's.
Right. Apparently it's one of the original deep dish pizza places. There's a few, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other.
I wonder how that started. Like why Chicago became the deep dish city. Like they just had a shortage of flat pans, and they said, "No, well, we're going to use this deep one."
They do, though, in Chicago. They do have places that sell parlor pizza that we're kind of used to, and it's kind of like a revolt. They're kind of like we don't do that. We don't do that deep dish stuff. Like this is the way pizza's supposed to be. Whatever. As long as the shit's good. Countdown.
Pizza does have a sort of a culty thing, and super territorial.
If you ever been to St. Louis, you ever had their pizza that's just on like a cracker crust? Really, like a wafer? Very, very, very thin. It's almost like a cracker. It's almost like you're biting, and they square it off. Really? So you're getting like a small square piece of pizza, probably no bigger than that piece that you got in your hand right now.
Like an hors d'oeuvre almost.
It almost seems that way. So you're just taking it, So but this is all my refined carbs for the week. No more refined carbs. Yeah, I'm topping out here. Sorry, everybody, but I was starving. No, we're live.
Indeed. So pizza has a interesting geometric. It kind of has a square box. Yeah. A round pie. Yeah. And triangle slices.
Yeah, exactly. It's a geometry experiment, probably.
Yeah. And the more you get half, craziness. So, man, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas past. Hope you had a great Christmas.
And New Year to come. We talk about our illustrious president so many times about all the things, and one of the things that was super committed to was making sure we all said Merry Christmas again.
See, this is
it's weird. No, you go. I have no objective here. I'm just saying, I found myself in several predicaments because I have several Jewish friends and colleagues and stuff, and constantly trying to be, politically correct and saying happy holidays. Right. And one of the architects I work with, who's gotten an award for building a the museum for the Holocaust survivors and stuff like that. I mean, he's very well renowned. I won't say his name on here, but he says, "Get the fuck with the happy Merry Christmas," and he's as Jewish as they come. He's like Larry David. He sounds like Larry David all the time. And I'm like, okay, and he's like, "Bring it, Merry Christmas, man, Merry." And
I agree with that notion that you shouldn't feel compromised by saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be. I mean, I said it all throughout the holidays. I work at the UM, so people of many different faiths. So people I work with are Hindu, Muslim, whatever, atheists. All of that. And so there shouldn't be any shame in saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah, no way at all. And I just hate the fact that you got to watch your tongue. I mean, so if there's one thing I could say that what this guy brought out was the people came out and was like, no, we're going to say Merry fucking Christmas. Right. We're going to say Merry Christmas. Right. It is what it is. Whether you believe the fat guy, whether you believe in whatever else it is. Right. It's not for adults. It's for the kids. It's something that is, no,
it's a spirit. It's a spirit. You're supposed to embody that spirit of kindness and you being nice to everybody.
Generous.
And this is about, being grateful for the things we have.
Sure.
Right.
And I like that. I really like that part of Christmas. I don't like the fact that people try to tie it to, well, it's Christ's birthday, he was born here. Yeah. You're trying to tie it to a calendar. Yeah. You're trying to make all these other stories come true. And it's really not necessary when the kids... And I love the symbol of hope. It's like if you can't hope for anything, like at least hope for Christmas. Like, at least you hope for Christmas and you get, something, whether... If you can't afford it, you at least save up to have something where your kid can appreciate, or you teach them the lessons along the way where they're not dying to have.
That's not the goal.
Right,
that's not the,
exactly.
You getting something. Like, I hate Christmas lists.
Yeah, that's kind of goofy.
Like give Christmas.
Yeah,
lists.
that's goofy.
Like my wife and I, we don't do that. We don't.
It's not necessary.
There's no like, well, what do you want for Christmas? Because I hate doing that. Because I'm an adult. If I want something, I'll just get what I want.
Right.
And if I'm going to give you a gift, I should give you a gift because I think you would enjoy.
I think you'd enjoy this.
I think you'd enjoy this gift.
I like that. Yeah.
Because then it's a fucking chore. Then it's no different than a grocery list.
Seek and hunt. Yeah.
It's no different than,
What do we have for dinner?
Asparagus, Timberland shoes. It's a grocery list.
Yeah, but you know what? If you flip that to what you just said, that makes perfect sense. And if you went to the grocery store and said, if you came back with a bag of groceries, right, and you came back with this sporadic, I thought you'd like this. I thought you'd like turnips.
Yeah.
I thought,
turnips are on sale. I just thought it'd be a good idea to put some turnips in the stew.
So your wife would say, "When the fuck did I ever had turnip? Like, why now? Like, why would?" So yeah, that's so super true. I mean, people have gotten carried away over the years. I think it's just turned into God bless the people that do the midnight shopping and ransack the stores and do all that goofy stuff.
I mean, bless commerce, but I mean, if you're not, I mean, is there going to come a time where you're not going to? Because I do most of my Christmas shopping online.
I do too.
I do most of it online. I think I found myself. Well, I think it was like on Tuesday, the Tuesday before Christmas.
Yeah, when the deadline.
I forgot to do something, so I went out and I grabbed something. And it wasn't a hassle. It was, I just went and got it and stuff, and that was it. But I think a couple years ago was like the first time that most people did their shopping online as opposed to actually going to the store. And so, like, if you're a brick and mortar store, the question becomes, okay, well, why should people come into this store?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you have like stuff going on in the stores, like, I mean, I do remember, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the days of, when stores were fun and you could touch and fuck with everything and play with stuff. And it was, but it becomes a hassle when I've literally been both sides. I've had good experiences and bad experiences. Right. I've put my bag down to go touch something and someone's snatched my shit and gone. It was like, wait, what? Where was the bag that was here? And it's like, and so I'm not a fan of that. scenario where it's just like
you get some of that now too, because some people
swipe packages
at
the door, dude.
Doorstops. And
dude,
stuff.
that's the new crime.
There should be there's when you do that.
Yeah.
At this time of year, there should be a separate
heavy
spot.
penalty.
There should be a separate spot for you in hell. Like if it should
You
be
stole, that's like the guy that robs
you stole Christmas presents. Get over there.
That's like the guy that would stick up a church. I mean, that would steal from the collection plate or steal. I mean, these are people's hopes and dreams. Or a guy that steals out of a fountain for this is something that that's a humanity thing, right? Isn't that part? That's like a humanity thing. It's like
because if you can't the case of the church, if you can't accept the fact that this church, and hopefully the church is doing that. I mean, hopefully the church is using that money to either bolster,
totally different story. I mean, and help people and help
causes and helping people and stuff like that. But that's totally different.
That's a different topic.
But if you can't accept that and you just say you're just going to take it because you know it's there.
Yeah.
Stuff that basically, there should be a separate spot for you.
I mean, how tough are you to rob a church, man? Like
exactly,
you're really badass. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go rob a bunch of church people.
You're gonna have your pants sagging low and you go to a church. Come on,
come on, guys. That's not cool. Go to
Crenshaw and take some of them dudes.
Yeah, like the drug dealers with the big knot. You go up against those guys and say, hey, Merry Christmas, motherfuckers. Right. Stick those guys up. So you can't be too much of a badass robbing a church or even like these guys that knock over old ladies and stuff. Even in the 70s and 80s, you knock over an old lady for a pocketbook. I mean,
But was there? I mean, do you remember? Because you and I grew up in. We didn't grow up in the hood per se, but the hood was around the corner. So
the hood, that's growing up in the hood. Trust me,
we found it. So
it was a block away.
Wasn't the hood, but you walked and you were there.
Pretty much.
There was there was sort of this honor amongst these, which you didn't mess with certain. Yeah. You didn't mess with certain things. You didn't bother certain people. Sure. Even if you were a hood rat that was jacking people for their shit, there were certain buildings you didn't go into. There were certain people you didn't bother.
Honor amongst thieves.
Because there was even if you were a thief. There was a morality to this. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that comes from. I would like to think it comes from when you have elder statesmen that kind of preach that a little bit, and you have one OG in the block. You know what I'm saying? Or you have one or two of them. For me, it was kind of a mixture. It was a couple of mom's friends, but then there was guys I ran into in the street, and then it was so you mix and match. Your where you get your lessons from. But I think that and that is to say that the newer generation lacks an OG mentality. Like you got young guys 20 and 30 calling themselves OGs, you know what I'm saying?
No fathers.
So right, no father, but the street becomes your father, and if you don't have a street guy that takes on the responsibility of being a street dad, that's a big credit. Guys, that from the hood that embrace the community, and and I'm gonna tell you, this year I've seen more guys I grew up with in the street that were out handing out toys, turkeys, doing stuff for kids and putting bikes out, and I saw a lot of G's putting in that work. So congrats to a lot of you guys that were out there really putting in that work.
It's great work.
It's great work because if you're alive today and you're able to tell that story and then do something good with it, whether no matter how you got it, whatever, you're alive, you're out, you're free, and you can go and make someone's Christmas, like we said, that hope, that little wow, just a wow. You get a little action figure, or you get something. No matter how menial it is, I mean, and a lot of my guys, like the Corrupt Mob guys, the Motorcycle Club, they did a fantastic job. They did a couple of toy runs and toy drives, and there's a lot, and chipping in with some foundations. And I think that now, in this era, we're gonna see a lot more the congressmen and senators and the local government guys really get involved with these groups.
I hope so.
Yeah, because I do too.
Because I think one of the things that I've noticed over the last, let's say, 12 years or so, when you're talking about the president and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't filter down to your area,
right,
or the cause,
right.
What has to happen is that that person who is whatever you want to call it is district representative or whatever whoever that is, that person needs to be responsible for anything that goes on. You need a stop sign on this corner, or the people keep messing up this building and stuff like that. That person needs to be responsible. And if you can make that connection, if you can make that connection between your community where you live and that person who is technically supposed to represent you, when they go to think, then that's and like you said, maybe I think we talked about this on our last podcast. That if things become a little bit more local, if you start focusing things on a little bit more local, then maybe we can start seeing the changes that we want to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Take a little responsibility for on our own. Like what can you do? Because I've asked myself, okay, well, what can I contribute?
Right.
What can I, what can I, at some point, I'm going to die, just like most of us. When it happens, will somebody else be able to say, oh, this is a guy who did what?
Right.
And I look back and I say, I don't know what's in there, So what are the things that I like doing and stuff? And so I'm really thinking about that as we, bring in 2018. I'm saying to myself, well, what can I do outside of myself that will say, okay, this is the imprint that I want to leave.
That's interesting.
These are the things that are important to me, and I want to share those with other people. And the adage is, if you're honest with yourself, then what you're going to do is you're going to attract those who have those same kind of
values. Same interests or values. I agree. That's super agreeable because there's one thing like you go to the doctor and. Thank you. Mm-hmm. You go to the doctor, you have symptoms or something, or something's bothering you or whatever else. And I've been fortunate to have some, I've been on, like, again, both sides where I'm trying to trick the doctor and say, and my doctor now, a Filipino guy, he said to me, one of the things that I'm 45 years old revealing now, and he was like, lie to me all you want. It's your body.
Right.
So I'm only reacting to what you tell me.
Right.
So if you say it don't hurt when you do this, but it hurts when you do this, I have to treat what you do. Right. So don't try to make me say the thing, because me saying it doesn't make you any better.
Right.
You have to diagnose the proper way, and I can only go by what you tell me. And so a lot of people have this thing where they believe that if they could get the other person to say
the thing that I want them to say.
Right. Then it makes it all better.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had a phone complaint over the phone, and someone goes, well, the other person told me that I can't do this. I'm sorry, they were wrong. But why did they say that? They were wrong. Right. Okay, so just because someone said it doesn't make it any righter, and you don't get $2 off or whatever for.
Why are we scared of the truth?
I think everyone's.
Why are we scared of hearing the truth? Yeah. And why are we scared of telling the truth?
I've told meaningless lies.
Yeah.
I've told meaningless lies that had no benefit.
No reason. No reason for it. Right.
None. And you think that they're just menial because I'm thinking I'm trying to persuade something to go this way. Every lie is exactly what it is a lie. It just turns into a boomerang. It. And so whenever you have that, it has no target. It has no purpose. It's a loop. It's a boomerangy type of thing.
There is a professor at the University of Toronto.
Yeah.
His name is Jordan Peterson. You can find 1,000 shits of details.
Jordan Peterson.
He puts all of his lectures on YouTube.
I've seen him.
And he became enthralled in a
I didn't know he's from Toronto. I've seen him. I've seen him on other shows. Yeah.
But he will say that, the more you don't tell the truth, or the more you lie, the more you don't tell the truth, the closer you are descending into your own, that is your descent into hell.
Yeah,
your willingness to perpetrate this lie and accept whatever ramification it is of this lie takes you further and further away from whatever you conceive hell to be. Yeah. It takes you further and further away from wherever you conceive heaven to be.
Right. Like it puts you closer. Yeah.
Right. The truth is and basically what it is that you don't want to accept.
It's a damnation.
A temporary pain and a temporary discomfort.
Yeah.
So that you can get to the thing that you want.
Right.
You don't want to go through that. You'd rather circumvent it and go through this whole thing. It's weird. Like if you were to tell, listen, we're married, we have families, and stuff like that. And I'm sure that there have been times in which you looked at your loved one and wanted to say something.
Yeah.
And not out of anger, not out of spite or anything like that, but because you honestly felt this.
Sure.
But you decided to say something else because you were more concerned about that momentary
rhythm
pain that was going to come from that and you coming out of that pain, as opposed to getting to the end, which would have made everything fantastic. Which would
I don't know about fantastic, but it would have solved. It would have put a period at the end of the sentence.
But it wouldn't have. Right. It would have put a period at the end of it, and so that would no longer have been an issue.
Yes, I agree. I mean, some things. I mean, most.
I really don't want to go to your mom's today. Because I really don't want to hear her freaking mouth about blah 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 blah. No, just no. It's just let me. I'll take a shower. I'll be over there in a second.
I got something to do. What?
Exactly. Exactly.
Nothing. And then you're thinking, you're webbing. Right. So you're webbing, and a lie is a web, and it just keeps going. So
the truth will set you free.
Yeah, truth will set you free. Listen. I've been fortunate enough to play the zodiac role of being a Gemini, right? Mm-hmm. And carry this 2 personality thing. And it often played it to my effect of just saying, hey, you know what? Today I'm not that guy. Tomorrow I'm this guy. And I think that happens with people like myself. I have nicknames out the kazoo. Certain people, growing up, people in school, the teachers called me Oren, or my friends called me Chad. Mm-hmm. If someone yelled out Oren, it was a teacher. So I knew. So you knew. I knew how to. I knew how to. You
know how to respond
without even turning around.
You know which dude to click on.
If there were 10 people in the room and someone said, "Hey, Oren," I turn around. Yes, I know who's calling me because out of those 10 people, only 1 or 2 of you would respond to me that way. So I've embodied that. As not so much a crutch, not so much an excuse, not to say that I've used it as a hey slickster. Right. I've used it to help cope, and I think a lot of people that may have diagnosed schizophrenia or any type of craziness or whatever the doctors call it. I'm no doctor, so I don't know the right terminology. But I think if those people in that situation could compartmentalize themselves into a multiple personality, they'd be better off than not understanding it and just being crazy. Like.
Okay, yeah.
I'm thinking out loud, but I'm thinking with pizza crust. I want to dip it in a bourbon.
Oh, go for it.
I should. But yeah, that's me. What we talked about. What was the movie Split? Right. Right. And I think that type of, like, that's how I handle it. I can't speak for anybody else. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody else's plight or, but the way I treat my brain and everything like I'm a Windows guy. Now I'm on a Mac and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But everything to me is in folders and files and I'm chronologically putting things in and I'm sorting and filing. Right. So including my personalities, my being. So my crew, my body snatcher crew, Lish. They call me Lish, whatever. And that has a meaning to it. But people outside of it go, what the guy said? He called you something.
Do you ever wonder, does it ever throw you into, I'm playing junior psychologist, but like this notion that, okay, you wish one group could acknowledge, like one group who knows you a certain way could acknowledge you for being this other dude who has these capacities to doing anything else, but they only know you as a dude who can do ABC, but they don't realize that you can do all the way up to Z.
Yes. And so a lot of times, there's certain people in my life that have come across that have witnessed it and saw coexistence, in both platforms. Right. Because we run in different circles. Right. Now, I'm not saying this is anything special about me. This is every person, I think people just don't understand how to compartmentalize their circles.
Well, we do that. I mean, we
you have your
put people in
right. You have your group with your wife.
Right.
You have your friends you grew up with.
Right.
You have your friends from work.
Right.
You have your friends from school.
Right.
You have so every time, all day long, people are compartmentalizing themselves, and around certain people, they're certain persona. So some people are mono-personal, right? They just say the same way.
Right.
And some people would call that, that's a good guy. He's true to his whatever. And someone would say what I'm saying is sort of fake. It's sort of, hey, he's this, there, but then when he's with these guys, he's this, then he's that. And then there's people that's like, I don't know that guy you're talking about. I don't know the guy. I don't know the...
What?
Right, he does that.
What? Right.
So at work, you're not that guy, right? So people do it. They just don't know that they're doing it. They do it because life does it to them.
Right.
So you at work, you're this John. You're the John that they know.
Right.
And occasionally you bleep out some of it. Hey, I like the Yankees. Hey, I like having a drink. Hey, I got a podcast. People, what? You guys are... You guys are like on YouTube? Like really? There's like all these people watching you and you're not you come to work regular like Fight Club.
Yeah.
That's like Fight Club. Great. Oh, I just thought of that. Fight Club was exactly that. Where this guy personified each personality into
a different right.
Yeah. So
different aspects that only got validated in certain circles. Yeah.
So the validation part makes it what makes it psychotic, like, or gives it a label. Like if you put it on, if a doctor looks at it, you're psychotic. Like I would tell you right now, if a doctor's examined all of my lifestyles and put them into it and said, you're fucking psychotic, you're crazy. Like you have to be crazy, or would it be multitaskable, or whatever the...
Yeah. Well, but the same thing that's the same thing that could throw that into chaos is probably the same thing that makes you successful at what you do in your job. You can go to this one place with this certain group of people who expect you to be a certain thing, and then you demonstrate you can be something else, and so you can break this barrier, and it's one of the things that I think that as human beings, we are probably the most adaptable force on probably in the universe. That we can be what we need to be in certain scenarios to our benefit. Now, unfortunately, it can carry over into something that can, be maniacal, like the same guy who's buying, old lady's bread in the morning is the same guy that has a fucking basement full of bodies and stuff. I mean, no. I just caught it. You can take it to those extremes.
Yeah, I caught it. Now I got it. Yeah,
extremes,
Yeah, that's super weird. That's like putting it. I mean,
but it happens to all of us. I mean, I think we go into a new situation, and that's probably what keeps us from being in new situations. And I don't know about you. But me, when I find myself into a new situation, there is this period in which I want to be an observer, and I want to be an observer to see, well, which guy do I need to turn on to be the alpha in this scenario? Is it the intellectual? Is it the guy who has read all these books and stuff like that? He needs to be smart.
Right.
Is it the guy that loves going to dive bars and sipping whiskey all night and stuff like that? Right. Is it the guy that loves theater and all that stuff? I can talk to you about musical theater. Is the guy that loves sports? Who do I need to be here?
Huh.
And how can I work my way in? And then there are times I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You just walk in and say, "Hey, I'm Sports John today. You guys can talk all this musical theater shit if you
that's
want."
super interesting. That's super. That's a super way of looking. And I only think that again, you have to be somewhat psychotic. I keep using that word for some reason, but I think you almost have to be somewhat of a savant to have this kind of meter. Some people just don't even know it. Some people just don't know that they're dialing.
Right.
Like you put a baked potato in the oven, you dial to the right temperature. Right. You put it in, you do it. You put a pizza in, it's this, it's this. So a lot of people just don't know. That's why they burn shit, right? That's why they put it in at the wrong temperature, and they don't know how. So you burn a relationship. You could burn a conversation. Right. You could be one throw away from being an asshole, right? And people go, right. But you say, I'm not that guy. Like, man, they really thought I was that guy. I'm not that guy. Just the question that they proposed at the time, right? I put it on high heat and
sometimes it leads you down a path. Sometimes it leads you down a path in which you're not gonna.
That's a good analogy. It's a good analogy.
You can't recover from, But that's what we all do, and I think it was. Look, there was an episode of The Odd Couple in which. Felix Unger says, and this is the TV show The Odd Couple, in which he says, if you know you're going crazy, I guess that makes you sane. And so if you know, if you're willing to know and acknowledge your limitations.
I did that.
All right, well, we fucked that up. So if you're willing to know and acknowledge your limitations.
Yeah. All our fans.
And what makes you...
No, it was the
the thing fell off.
Yeah, that little screwdriver thing. Still okay. Yeah, but you had a tilt on it, no?
I did have a tilt on it, but we're still good.
It's fine. We're cool. Yeah, you can see us.
Yeah,
so but if you know the limitations,
if you know your limitations, and if you know if you know how you can get in certain scenarios, and if you're willing to acknowledge that, then that kind of you have some level of control over it. You have some measure of saying.
I would super agree with that. That's kind of
we all have demons, and you have to know that those demons are there. If you're the person, like anybody who says, "Oh, I can't imagine that somebody would do something like that," that's the person that fucking scares me.
That's the guy that scares you.
That's the person that scares me because you have no concept of that. Then if you have no concept of that, then I can only imagine what happens when a certain set of circumstances plunges you into that arena, in which you have in which you have no knowledge of,
right.
And that's where you get your psychopaths. That's where you get your people who all of a sudden can't deal with the fact that, oh my God, my grandmother died. Yes, your 97-year-old grandmother died. That's you mean you can't conceptualize that?
You can't conceptualize that. Yeah, but that's like switching it to politics a little bit. That's when people come at Trump or Sessions, Jeff Sessions, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the arguments, and somehow that kind of died down of what he knows, what he doesn't know.
Right.
And when you hear these guys get interviewed by other congressional members, etc., they're like, you didn't turn stupid today. Like your answer is stupid today.
Right.
But your career and your legacy and all the stuff you've done throughout your career
indicates there's no stupid there.
Right. So conveniently stupid, conveniently ignorant, conveniently biased or whatever else is a personality that people turn on and off when they want.
Well, yeah.
So it begs the question of, is that just normal personality trait? Like telling a lie when you didn't need to?
Right.
But is it flipping there's certain times where, you flip a guy the bird.
Right.
And you're like, I shouldn't have did it. My kids are in the car or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes it's just wrong. Time is wrong. And so, but there's several times where it's like, oh man, you know better. Like,
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is like when you interviewing like smart millionaires and, the Harveys and the all these Matt Lauer, all the guys, you should know better.
Right.
If they can make those kind of mistakes, if they can, or just somebody just commits a crime.
Right.
Randomly, and he's a good kid. You always hear that all the time. Oh, he was a good kid. This doesn't seem like him.
Right.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens. You kind of just get the urge and go, you know what? I'm in the moment. You know what I'm saying? The little Eminem song kicks in. But
at what point? But we also, at the same time, we put sort of like a timestamp on it.
Yeah.
Like a stupid decision when you're 19. Depending on what the decision is. I think as a society, and we're a little forgiving and say, okay, look, you did something stupid. And you did something you weren't supposed to do. Now, if you do the same thing when you're 50, it's like, dude, what the fuck is like? You're fucking 50. You didn't learn this when you were 19,
right? You're still doing this.
You know, you're still doing this shit, and and we know. I mean, that every once in a while, we find ourselves back in the old neighborhood and whatnot, and you still see the same. You see these. What's funny to me is that even though the people might be different, you still see the characters.
Yeah,
like this is like a movie, and they had to cast somebody, and now this one person is no longer playing that role,
but a new guy.
Now somebody else is playing that role, and it's the same role.
Yeah, that happens now. That's happening right now.
Well, you recognize it. Yeah. You recognize it. I mean, there's very little that you see that's new, but you recognize it. But the player might be different. But you say, oh, this is remember when we went and had remember when our cousin from Australia, Chad, came in?
Yeah.
And we had dinner with him and had dinner with his people and stuff, and it was a fantastic night.
Yeah, Budokan. Yeah, it was Budokan, right?
Right, that's where we went to dinner.
Great restaurant.
But then we went and we started walking around, and this dude started talking and started singing and stuff like that. And
who was singing? Chad?
No, not Chad, but this other guy. This other guy started singing as we were trying to figure out what place we're gonna go to next, and we hit this corner, and there was like a falafel cart next there.
Yeah.
And this one dude, he started singing.
We were on 19th Street. We were at the Dream by the Dream Hotel.
Yes.
And we were going to go, and his friend was taking us to all these highfalutin places. Right. And we were like, let's go to a real bar.
Let's go to a real bar. Yeah. But then this one dude, saw us, and then he went to...
Sang and said the 20 bucks.
Girl and said, yeah, exactly. Instead of saying, oh, do you have this? You and I instantly said, that's a hustler.
Right.
That's a hustler. Be as short with them as you possibly can.
Yeah, just keep it short.
Let's keep this shit moving.
Right.
She didn't.
No.
She pulled out her wallet.
Yeah, and openly pulled out her wallet.
Open her wallet.
And chose what bill to give him.
Right, and looking through and sifting through all the money.
I got hundreds, but
holy
I only have a 20.
What the hell?
That was a bump in the head for somebody. Exactly. It had not been with us and with somebody else. She clearly would have got jacked. I just could not believe the naivete of her and her being so New York. She was, but mind you, you knew the story prior to her?
Well, she had gotten mugged the day before, right? Well, the same scenario.
So rewind to that exact same. That's how you got mugged. Being gullible, being stupid,
and you didn't learn. You didn't.
That was yesterday. It was 2 days.
You didn't do a 2.0 and said, "Oh," because this might have been if you're a religious person. This might have been God saying, "Okay, I'm gonna put you in the same scenario and let's see if you learned your goddamn lesson."
Amen.
Nope, you didn't.
Nope, you didn't. Let me give it to you again.
Thank God you're around these other people, and you and I immediately just said,
we just wrote it off.
He's a hustler. Let's go.
No, we said something witty. We said, "Hey, I could use a sandwich myself or whatever. I could use something to eat too," and blah blah blah.
But basically, let him know. Say, "Hey, I got you on point.
Yeah,
you're a hustler. Ain't nothing coming out of my pocket. I appreciate your hustle, but we're gonna keep it moving."
And most street hustlers and all that kind of stuff, when they recognize you recognize them, they keep it moving. They don't perpetuate it and get come on. Right. Once you give them the clear line and you be like, "Yo, I got you, man." Damn, he took half.
Half the damn pie.
Scott. But that always happens when hustlers, real recognize real, as they say, hustlers recognize hustlers.
Right.
And once you get a beeline on somebody, you be like, "Yo, bro, I got your game, man. I know what's going on.
I got it.
My man. I respect the hustle.
Right.
I ain't got it like that.
Keep it moving. Pick somebody else.
Keep it going. And that happened to us at we're at Rudy's. Same night.
Oh, exactly.
Same night.
Yes.
Same night. And dude came over and was like, "Yo, let me get a drink." He tried to sit down. I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here."
Like, you talking to some real dudes from the hood, he was like, "Oh, huh?" He didn't know because he saw these guys, and our cousin, I'm from Australia, he's nice to everybody.
Right.
And we're like, "Nah, bro, beat it."
Right.
And the guy was like, I can't get no. You
got no,
man. Hard out here.
Exactly. I had to work hard for this.
But that happens with like beggars. People asking for change in the street and stuff like that. And for the life of me, I would love to help them, but I know what I'm doing is not helping them. It's temporary. It's a temporary if you really relief. Wanted food, and sometimes if you have extra, I'll give her something. Mm-hmm. No doubt. But me giving you change, and I'm like this guy that stands by Dunkin' Donuts. I asked him one day. I was like, "Bro, what's the plan? Like, is this a is this a segue? You just need. Right. What's your goal to? What if I could just get $50? I'm good. I can go get my suit and get the application, and I can go get this job. Right. He doesn't have that plan. This guy has no plan. He's like, look, I'm just going. It's a nice gig. It's around the corner. It's convenient for him. Right. He walks to the corner. He lives around the corner. Like he lives close by. So to him, and I said to him one day, I said, bro, I'm going to work. Like I got up 6 o'clock in the morning and I got to trek and go to where I'm going. You did the same exact thing. So right now we're even up until the point of getting up and getting ready to be hustled and jostled and going out and about. Uh-huh. You chose to stop right here and go this way. Right. I'm saying I got to go to go. Right. I'm begging for another person to give me the money. My boss, my employer, or whatever else.
I'm doing the same.
And
thing,
I got to do all the.
I'm doing it different. I'm doing it in different form.
Yeah, and it comes in a check. It doesn't come in jingles.
I'm doing it in this monthly CMR report.
But if you can get up in the morning, half the problems are over. If you could get yourself out of bed, get dressed, get out in the street, and go prepare yourself for the whatever it is, the terrain, it's raining, it's this and that. That's half the fucking problem. The majority of people that just can't get up out of bed, those are the ones that are just like, man, I just can't get out of bed. Right. But if you could get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, and go out and panhandle, you have the you got the genes. You got the foundation. You got the foundation to go get it. Like there's something stopping you. So at some point, all you have to do is find the other half of the foundation of, okay, I don't have a suit. I want to go in the interview. I don't have an address or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like now you have a smaller problem. Your problem is not the gumption. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. And that baffles me sometimes where you could get up every day, come here and do this. Like, just go one more block ahead and you'll get to the bus stop and then you can go to the job and you could. So what's stopping you from that? Like McDonald's, $18 now. They're paying these people like $18. It's going there. It's like $15 now and it's going to go to $18 or whatever else.
You like the minimum wage? You like the raise of the minimum wage?
No. I really, well... So systematically, I don't like it because all it does is support inflation. It supports the notion of things cost more. So when you go back and look at 1950, a Coke was 7 cents, 8 cents. Right. It doesn't cost more to produce it. The product, you know what I'm saying? In fact, got cheaper to produce. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So that baffles me. But look at the other way around. The Coca-Cola CEO in 1950 made $100,000. Yeah. This guy makes $20 million. Yeah. That's where the inflation goes. It goes into the higher. So I don't like that. I've worked for minimum wage. I remember when it was $4.70.
I go back and forth.
I bought my earrings. I bought my stuff, and a summer job. It was great. I go
back and forth. Because I think when.
But what do you struggle with? What's your struggle?
Because, like you said, the thing about inflation. Yeah. The thing about inflation is real. Everything else costs more. Right. And so if everything else costs more, then we should be paying more. We should put people in a position to afford those things that we have said, whether it be artificial or legit, saying it costs more. But I also acknowledge that, look, if you are a business owner Mm-hmm. And if you have to pay somebody $15, $16 an hour, well, then all of a sudden,
your motive changes.
Right, exactly.
I'm now not thinking of giving. I'm thinking of cost.
Right, I'm thinking of cost, and if that person. And I think what people forget is that, okay, if I'm giving you $15 an hour for a job,
right,
that means I expect $17 an hour in production.
Right. Okay. Right.
And if I can't get $17 an hour production out of you, then I don't need you.
Right. I need a guy that can give me 17, even more.
Exactly.
Sometimes you find more.
It's almost easier for me to have somebody who I can give $8 to, and I can get that person to give me $10 worth of production.
Your productivity is
and it's a weird animal. Minimum wage is one of those things I always go back and forth on, because I just, people need to be able to live. People need to be able to pay their bills. People need to be able to support their families. But at the same time, we also need to make sure that we create an environment in which there is a certain level of competition. And so, if you and I start our own business, and you're giving somebody $14 an hour, and I'm giving somebody $10 an hour, well, the theory is that they're going to run to you,
right,
for the job, and I'm going to have to make a decision. Okay, well, how much am I going to have to pay people to get a certain amount of productivity? It puts me in that balance.
This goes to what we said earlier about spinning a web, and spinning a lie, and spinning something that somehow increased profits for one group, but good for the goose, good for the gander type of thing. And I'm more inclined to believe that, because someone pushed the envelope of how much production you can get out of someone versus profit. Like, I think we talked about this before about Marxism, and how, it says Marxism says if you can't afford to eat at the restaurant you work at, it's not it doesn't work.
Right.
Like, you should be able to patronize the same services for which you work, which you provide.
Right.
And that's not the case. Like, that's not the case. Like, most people that work at a 5-star restaurant will never eat there.
Never eat there.
I worked 10 years at a 5-star hotel, never could afford to go there, let alone. So when they gave a room for free and said, it was like enamored. Like, and so at some point you just treat it with this, it's so high end, it's so this, it's so that, it's so.
But doesn't that create the notion then that, okay, so let's say these people at this high end restaurant who work here can't afford here. Well, now there's this niche created of a restaurant that can service people who can afford that. So have we not, in the model you just described, have we not created room for another business that can service that can sort of fill that gap?
Yeah, but I think I'm only saying that the original question was, do I agree with the minimum wage? And I'm going back to that as saying, I think like anything else that there is to agree about or disagree about, it has been exploited. So that's where I'm looking at it. It has been exploited.
Yeah.
It has been taken advantage of, and it's, again, conveniently convenient when people want it to work one way and it doesn't work the other way.
Right.
The oxymoron of it all is that I have to tell you what the wage. Now, at some point, I don't know when this was. Maybe it was like during Reagan or whatever else. But it at some point deemed that minimum wage equaled you had to be able to support yourself and support a family. Now, you hear what I'm saying? Is now it means that I'm a person, and if I make minimum wage, I should be able to support me, my wife, and or at least feed myself, pay for a house, the American dream.
Right.
I should be able to have a house, pay for my own rent, and buy groceries and go to work, etc. I don't know at what point we said that was what minimum. That's what minimum wage offered. I don't know when that happened, and for people to assume that if you could live by the bare minimum, that's what. So when you look at a welfare state and you look at what people get by on welfare, it's maybe less than minimum wage.
Right.
it's $8,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
So do you live subterranean? Do you go underground? Do you live in a housing project? Do you go as many benefit things that you can have under your belt that you don't pay for that is subsidized?
Mm-hmm.
And then is that living? Is that living? So these are the things that I don't agree with as far as social economics. This is all social economics and how it plays out in the big screen. And I don't think there's an answer to it. I think people have struggled with trying to resolve it. And here's a good. I'm sorry to hold that thought. Eva Longoria, right? Yes. She put out
very substandard.
Very substandard, but gorgeous. She's hot.
I can just stare at.
She put out a very interesting book and has done some philanthropy work about tomato fields.
Oh, really?
Yes. And how today's tomato fields are exploited, modern day slavery. They beat the shit and rape these girls in the tomato fields, like literally on the fields. Like she's in here, Florida, where tomatoes are grown, U.S. Okay. She says now to this day, and forget about Italy and where I think she's Italian, kind of Mexican Italian or something like that. But in Italy, she said the tomato fields in Italy. I would be remiss. I don't want to give misinformation, but it's in her book. It's called. Adding my 2 cents or something like that. It's, you guys can figure it out. Okay. It's something about 2 cents. And she's saying that if the American people would agree to pay 2 cents more for a tomato, for the cost of a tomato, this would change the paradigm of why the value of women picking tomatoes don't get beat and raped, because it's like cotton. It's like picking it by the pound. Again, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm saying this is her. Right. This is her mission. That's right. This is her thing, and she broke it down in a way, and there was facts in the books, and she was on like Jimmy Kimmel. She was on like some big shows talking about this.
She's not an idiot. So.
No.
Right. So,
and I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying
what I'm saying is that if she says that she has something.
She's done some research on it.
She has some substantiation behind what she's going to say.
And so she's put together this whole in a graph bar that basically says, if we just agree to pay 2 cents from everyone to say, like, okay, I buy a burger, right? It's $9.99 or $9.99.2. 2 more cents for the burger and the pickle. Those people would not be exploited the way they are because of the price per barrel, per bucket, whatever else. Now, I would have to look at the numbers and see.
But does that solve the ills that she claims are transpiring?
No, I don't think so. Because I would look at it the way we just looked at the other scenario. Paying 2 cents more, the guy who runs the place says, "Great, the numbers just went up. Mm-hmm. We get and we don't have to pay our workers more."
Right.
It never transcribes to the bottom guy.
Right.
The bottom guy doesn't vie for the. When people strike for all the other stuff, the end user pays for it. Right. If you strike for better benefits, etc., for MTA, let's say, you don't get. They get a merit raise or whatever else.
They get right. You don't.
So the overall, and the customer pays 50 cents more.
Right.
So when people protest and fight for labor wages and publicly strike, in my head, the social economic side of it and the media side of it, me look at it, I go, wow, this means the price is going up.
Exactly.
I would say that. I'm sitting at home saying, "Oh, they're striking. We can expect a rate hike."
Now, on the flip side, you got a guy like a Peter Schiff who would say that the resolve to that is an unregulated market in which the only thing that dictates the market is the competition within that market.
Correct. Which what we said was, why is minimum wage? Why is that the standard of living? Who said minimum wage is the standard of living?
Granted.
Right.
But at the same time, then it begs the question: then what then prevents that market? Like, what if you've decided that the market is going to manage everything?
Yeah.
Then what then is the preventive measure to make sure that that market doesn't reward you for being more of an asshole than the other dude? Because it can reward you for being a better businessman than the next guy, but at the same time, you could be a better
dangerous time.
You could be a better asshole than the next guy,
yeah.
and you could be somebody that takes advantage of people more than the other person, and you can get rewarded for that.
Sure.
So if you get rewarded for that, then what is your incentive for not doing that? What is your incentive for saying that, hey, your middle managers are
incompetent.
Yeah. And your middle managers are actually raping people who are in your thing. What is your incentive for doing that?
Well, I transgressed
if you leave that market unregulated. If you say that everything is fine, at some point there has to be some measure to say no. You have to perform at some measure. Yeah. At some measure to say that you have to go up to some standard. And I don't necessarily believe that, in heavy taxes and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And Peter Schiff is a guy who, if I understand him correctly, he believes that there should be like no regulation whatsoever for any market whatsoever.
Right.
But then it begs the question, well, then how do you keep the guy who's the bigger asshole? How does that guy get punished for being an asshole as opposed to just being the guy who's just a good businessman?
Well, so I that's duly noted, and I transcribed that over to the music industry, right? And so for years, Wild Wild West, unregulated. So you have the I forget the guy's names, Levy's and the David Ruffin stories and all these other guys getting from all the record execs saying, no, this is what you do.
It's a common story.
This is what you get. So it transcribes to the Diddy's of today, to the new record execs of saying, no, I'm the Birdmans and all this other stuff where I'm taking all the risks. I'm the guy going up to the meetings. You keep performing. Go do your job. You generate, and I'll be the one in charge of all this other stuff, and I get the happy reward. There's no difference. Right. There is no difference, and that industry has been. So, is there a minimum wage for a rapper?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like for entertainers,
you get what you get.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So minimum wage doesn't exist in some fields. Why others? I'm sure that if you did a show in Topeka, Kansas, and you were hired, and the guy says, "Yeah, I'll give you $50," and I'm performing for an hour, I could rule that, hey, this is below minimum wage. Do the math. Right. I'm not saying that's 50 divided by 1 hour. I'm not saying that. But one could argue that, hey, this is below the minimum wage of, they could put a rule to it. They could put a slide rule to those meters. That doesn't happen in entertainment. No, because there's intrinsic value, there's esoteric value, there's all kinds of, hey, if I do this, I'm going to post it. It's going on YouTube. I'm getting my views up. I'm getting this. I'm getting that. So there's intellectual value.
You and I are a huge fan of comics. How many comics have worked for, a meal that night? Or, I'll get your hotel room, that you got to, you might get like $50 that night.
When I got to no disclaimer about that, Joe Rogan and his crew, like how that whole genre of guys, I kind of got to see the back of the Comedy Store, right? It was always like all these guys had this intrinsic tie to the Comedy Store and how their stories revolved around it and how they ate for free, right? And that was it. Even Tiffany Haddish, she's going on record saying, I did comedy because I got a meal. Like, I got something to eat, what I'm saying, whatever. And her special is pretty good. I was shocked that she could put together that content for that long, I did just think, not saying I undermining her, but I, for a new newbie and not new to the world, but not new to herself, that she could put together. Because a lot of people struggle with putting material for an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's not easy. That's not hard, bro. I mean, it's not easy. So when you're right, when you see comics and you see people, so that's no different than, these groupies and actors and all these people in entertainment that are working on per diem. Right. They're working on a day. Like, I remember doing a video shoot with my brother DL, and we went to LA. Mm-hmm. He shot a video. He shot like a 3-video series out, and we were in South Central LA on La Cienega Boulevard where Big got shot and all crazy shit. And we in South Central, and dudes is coming up like, who the fuck are y'all? Like, y'all, what? And the dude who had did the casting and all this other stuff said, oh, yeah, DL, rapper, from New York, with Usher. And wait, what? With Usher? There's no fucking Usher in here. So everybody came to the video shoot, was like, yeah, is Usher here? Like, oh, we're here for the Usher video shoot. We're like, what? No, this is DL, certified, blah, 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 this and that. And the amount of draw this guy had, it was some of it was and it was a mistake in the ad. The guy said he put 2 ads. The guy put the one ad with the other one. They read it in sequence, right? When you read it in sequence, it read that it was Usher. It was not. He said, I didn't lie. I didn't say that. You read it the wrong way, and when you look at the ad, it was true. But what I'm saying is to say is that people were like, they would do anything. Mm-hmm. They would sleep outside. They would, they waited. They came in. This one girl came with a suitcase, and she was like, "This is it. This is it. This is it. Everything I have is in this suitcase." I'm like, it's a rap video. It's not even like a movie. It's nothing that gets you paid. We're gonna pay for craft services, lunches, you get something to eat. You get something to eat and whatever. And she was like, "Fuck it, this is it. I'm gonna say I was in that video. I'm gonna say." And people had to, I guess, put their own touch to make it work for them. Make it work for them. I do this. I'm gonna make this work for me. So that's, I think, what the comic world and the music and entertainment and the rappers and all that stuff is like. Yo, I'm gonna make this work for me. Like, I watch all these storage almost full.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Blah, 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 blah. Full. Yeah.
Settings, details. That's crazy how it stores it and then it does it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think we're done with that. I think we're done with the live feed. Finish. Ending live video. So live video's over. Okay.
Live video's over. And I was trying to go on here and follow it and post it, but it froze.
Yeah,
but that in itself is like super weird and in itself of just like people just doing anything for, and it goes to what we talked about a couple of episodes ago about casting couches, about people just saying, listen, whatever to get my career going, I'm gonna try. And I don't discredit anyone for trying to, jump on a leaf and try to stand. Is if you don't go back and be like, he made me jump on a leaf. You know what I'm saying? That's where I think it's wrong.
That's where it gets sketchy, because if you proposition somebody to do something, okay, and they agree, well then
the deal is over.
What's the problem?
The deal.
What's the issue?
Right.
Like the only issue is that you made that proposition, and so if that's a bad thing, you say no,
right,
and then you can say, hey, so and so said, in order for me to get whatever, I got to do this.
Well, it's like if you make a bet with somebody.
But if you agree, then even if it's a bad thing, if you agree to it, well then but there's a huge gray area.
Huge gray area
that's happening. And I think we can all say that yes, there is some tremendously horrific shit that is happening that is being outed, and thank God it's being outed.
Yeah.
And yes, it is. But there's a whole fucking tremendous gray area that is just that we are just saying. I mean, people have even come out in public and published articles basically saying, I don't care if innocent people get accused of shit and
collateral
lose.
damage.
And that's horrible. That's a horrible thing, because the people who would ultimately support you, you are willing to throw those people into the same damn fire as the people who have committed some horrible shit. Harvey Weinstein is a horrible person. Fucking Kevin Spacey is a horrible person. Getting drunk and putting his hand down people's fucking and grabbing their fucking balls. No, that's a horrible person.
That's a horrible person.
That is a horrible person. I can't. But some of the other things I've heard, I can't say that these are horrible people.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're willing to cast them all into the same thing means that we're not willing to have this.
That's what America does, man.
We're not willing to have this thing of quantification,
right?
Like qualifying is
levels. There's levels to
levels.
Yeah,
it's
there's
like,
levels
hey,
to
that's
a level 1 offense. That's a level 2. That's a 5.
The guy that lost his job on NPR. I can't for the life of me I can't remember his name. I just read it again before I came up here, but I can't remember his name.
I don't know. And I listen to NPR,
but there's a guy that like had his show on NPR for like 25, 30 years or whatever, and apparently what had happened was he was like a colleague was distressed about something. He was consoling the colleague, and he had his hand on her back. She had an open back shirt, and he did, and he touched her.
Yeah.
Bottom line, So let's assume the worst. Let's assume the worst of it. Let's assume that
he did a.
Let's assume that was that he did that out of he had a moment, this momentary, selfish thing, whatever.
I mean,
he ultimately wrote her and said, "Hey, I realized that when I was talking to you, I touched you in a spot, and I'm
sorry, didn't mean anything.
I apologize.
I
didn't mean anything by it."
Right.
And she retorted back, "Say, hey, look, don't worry about it.
Right.
Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it." And I think they like in a certain period of time they had communicated professionally.
So he's had proof that he said that.
Yes.
Okay, but he had to go on record and say, I retracted.
And then all of a sudden, he got contacted by her attorneys, saying that he was.
That's fucked up.
So it begs the question. Well, wait a minute. So even if that was a horrible thing he did, he, number one, acknowledged it.
Yep.
Number two, apologized.
Yep.
Number three, got confirmation that, hey, look, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's, we'll put it in the past. And then after all of that, the dude loses his job, has a stain on his reputation.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. That's pretty fucked up.
That's bullshit.
It's pretty fucked up. Because that industry sees things through a lens. I mean, it sees it through a lens that does not have emotion. It doesn't have fear. It has no compassion whatsoever.
Well,
it's driven. It's crowdfunded. It's crowdfunded. It's driven by banter. It's driven by the like if you were at a stadium, the let's go New York. We're losing,
right?
But we're still cheering and chanting and clamoring for it. And I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a hoorah of. We may be wrong. It's like listen, we in the street, we go back to the hood. And got motherfuckers saying, yo, free so-and-so. No, he fucking did it. Like, he fucking did it. Like, this guy is...
No, that nigga's guilty.
He's a reputed thug. He did the job, and y'all want me to make t-shirts for your free, my man, ABC 1, 2, 3.
It's like, he's like the exemplification of a guilty dude.
Right. Free him. Like, why? Why would you advocate for that? So there's a whole culture of just being wrong and strong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then right and right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm right, my way or the highway type of thing. And I think that's what we're witnessing in Hollywood. We're witnessing it now to the lower courts. Now it's coming to the lower level, and now it's coming in. And I'm gonna go on record and say it's not exempt from the guys who are podcasting, to the guys who are on this level getting money and getting these sponsorship checks and getting all this other stuff. Even though it's just it's obliterated through the masses, and you can't like call NBC and find out. But you can now call someone's company and go, hey, listen, this guy did something, blah, blah, blah. Right. I was supposed to be on his show and it didn't make it, and he asked me to pull my pants down. You know, where's the release form? Where's the waiver? Where's the...
And it gets to the point where, like, all you need is an accusation.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? But I think, you know, at some point, paperwork is gonna have to come out now. Whoever creates this form, maybe it'll be us. Is to just come out with like there was a spoof. There was a spoof about what they call the a hoe card or whatever, something like that. Was, some kids made it like on college kids, and they made this like meme thing, and they was like, "Do you agree to have sex for any given time?" Blah blah blah.
Chappelle
Check.
did that.
Yeah, right. It was Chappelle. It was Chappelle, and then some other kids did it. I forgot their names. They have a great channel. We them all the time. I think it was College Kids blog or whatever else. But yeah, you're right. But that's what's gonna happen. That's what's something. Yeah. Like I have the complete obliteration to just annihilate you.
Right.
Shit in your face and do some horrific things to you. You okay with that? Good. Sign here. Put this in the vault and done deal.
Doesn't this make all this is gonna do is fucking make porn a little bit more fucking desirable.
Why? What do you say that?
Because like this whole, like, if I walk up to you and if I walk up to a female and, hey, you know, you want a drink? I say, no, come on, let's go get a drink. And if I can get accused of harassment for stuff like that, why not go to a freaking internet site in which this freaking hot woman
knows what's going on,
is telling me that, hey, you can do whatever you want, you know, whatever fantasy you want. Have you ever, when's the last time you logged onto a porn site? You can log on to anything.
Yeah.
And you can get anything you want.
Oh, I've seen several. I mean, I've gone on a porn site anytime I want.
Toe orgasms.
Yeah.
No, whatever. Like, holy shit. There's actually like a fucking collage of people who do shit like this.
Midget fuckers.
You know, there's all kinds of shit.
Fucking midgets. Like,
everybody. And so, if you don't allow people to
police themselves, I mean,
if you don't give people the room to be wrong in real life, what they're going to resort to, they're going to resort to an entity to which they are always going to be right.
Okay, but is this that great concept? And does it mean, like, I'm a big believer on the conspiracy side of that everything has an agenda. So is this an agenda to make prostitution illegal? Like, could this go that way? Could this say, hey...
I don't think it's an agenda, but I'm one of those people who I don't understand why prostitution is not legal. I don't understand why it's illegal.
Baffled by it. I don't
understand why it's that. I don't understand why I can, like, pay, like, for somebody to have dinner with me, but I can't, like, if there's like if there's an agreement that I am going to give you X amount of dollars for sex, then why is that not, you know, why is that not commerce? Why is that not capitalism?
I think, I would only say that only because of the ramifications of it. There's a baby that comes out of it, and you're asking people to be safe about it. You're asking people not to eat artichokes. You're asking people not to eat. I'm just throwing. I don't know. The word artichoke freaks me out because there's nothing about choking in it. It just seems artichokes is like a dangerous word. But I'm just saying that would be, you can go on a date for pay if you don't have peanuts. You know, well, peanuts it's turned into that. It's turned into there's something behind it that, and trust me, you're gonna now see the death of that with fucking airlines. I was on a fucking flight and a lady said, you can't have peanuts because that lady 4 rows ahead is allergic.
Is allergic to peanuts. Yes, I've seen that, yes.
And I'm like, I want the peanuts. Like,
I've seen that. Yes.
I booked this flight because of the peanuts.
And peanut allergies are bullshit.
Peanut allergies are bullshit.
It's all bullshit. Yes, there are people who have peanut allergies, but you know the way to remedy peanut allergies?
What?
Eat a fucking peanut.
Yeah, you get over it.
And you will not have peanut allergies again. You know, it'll be over. You know, if you're pregnant.
Is that a real thing?
If you're pregnant. No, if it's like there's no.
It's like anything else. If you have not had it, you won't. You know.
Exactly, but there are people who are like. There's a whole generation of people who've like never given their kids who've never given their kids peanuts because they might get allergies. Give the fucking kid a peanut.
Get it to them early.
You know, have a peanut when you're pregnant, and then everything will be fine.
But why is that acceptable with the flu? Like the flu, they'll do. Hey, give your kid the flu shot. You know, give them the flu. We don't want the flu, which is acceptable. You need to have the germ to get the germ. Right. You know, just to fight yourself from the germ.
Right.
I mean, this is. I'm so confused. I am so confused because we believe one thing and then we
and then the retort we abjectly opposed to. Right.
I mean, listen. Tupac said it very well, eloquently, one of his trials at the. This guy says America eats its babies.
I wish we had a 50-year-old Tupac.
I would love a 50-year-old Tupac. It's
just one of those things that just like, dude, if that dude ever like grew into himself, it would have been like he could have been. I mean, he could have been a poet laureate.
No, this guy was like a prophet. I mean, this guy was Mandela. He was every one of. He qualifies to me. When people compare him to Biggie, I get a little annoyed because Biggie was a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Pac was a prophet. And Pac really had a lot to say. He was so fulfilled with so much stuff. I think he was exploited. We said earlier.
Well, yeah, I agree.
He was super exploited, and life happened.
And to be fair, he was willing. He was a willing participant in that exploitation.
Yeah. Because he admitted to it. He admitted it on several occasions. He said it several times. I'm guilty of several things. I'm guilty of not paying attention. Right.
A middle-aged Tupac. That would have been a beautiful thing to see.
I agree. I would agree with you 100% because there's not a lot of people. You know, like you said on a previous podcast. We had slavery, civil rights, and then nothing. You know, like in between. There was like no in between. And when you had the Martin Luther Kings of the world and all the civil rights people that when these guys were assassinated, whatever. Mm-hmm. No one how do you assassinate? You one boom, everybody go. Whoa, shit! They shooting. Right. Nobody stands up.
They shooting niggas.
They shooting niggas. Don't go up there. Don't go on that pulpit. Like, it worked. Like, to me, the movement, like, how could you kill you can kill a movement with one bullet. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So you take a guy like Pac, killed. You know what I'm saying? You take a guy like, so when the conspiracy guys say it in that mean, they don't mean it literally like there's this super force of. They're just saying, how convenient is it that you can take out a guy, a Bob Marley, a Marvin Gaye, or whatever their circumstances, whether their father shot him or they killed in a fucking, a shoestring accident, whatever it is. Whatever it is that took them out. Those things are crucial to how humanity just sighs and the turtle goes in the shell and doesn't come back out. Like we're ostrich in the sand. We just put our head down and we go, oh my God, they're killing. We're just so like subservient to that notion of, continual, like we don't never blitz. Like Hitler's blitzkrieg was hit him.
How much of that do we as black people?
Yeah.
And I hate, and I've learned to. Well, I shouldn't say I've learned. I've
shied away.
I've lauded the term African American. I'm not an African.
Right.
I'm not African.
No.
This is more, you know, I mean, and you and I
Shit, we're more Asian than we are African.
Our mother's Asian. We're 50% Asian.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, but I also ask myself, like how complicit are we in our own demise? Because we seem to fall for the okie doke a little bit more conveniently than others. You know, you either had to be down with W.B. Du Bois or Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
You know, you were either a fan of Muhammad Ali or Joe Louis. You were down with Malcolm X or Martin Luther King.
Or Martin, right? Okay.
Without us realizing that this is the totality of our experience.
Okay.
And rather than saying, no, each one of these entities are components of who we are.
Okay, yeah, I'm with that. Yeah.
We decided that, no, I'm going to be on this side.
Right.
Or I'm going to be on that side. And we sort of like allowed the wedge to drive in between us.
Yeah.
That will sort of say, hey, you know what? You know, if I move the needle this way, you'll react a certain way. But if I move the needle this way, you'll react a certain way. As opposed to us saying, no, this is us as a totality. You know, we accept the notion of, you know, Muhammad Ali, the young, aggressive, the guy who you know, hey, listen, you
stood up to something.
Stood up to something. Hey, look, you said America is about this, and and you're not living up to that. And at the same time, the Joe Frazier who said, you know what, I'm gonna roll my sleeves up. I'm gonna work hard. Yeah. I'm gonna do what I need to do to get somewhere, and you can't disrespect that. That's the same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
And unfortunately, what we've done is we've sort of like allowed other people to like divide us.
You know, it's super. You're 100%, and I think that you said two things that don't coexist. Well, that do coexist, and for a reason. One is us, the us, who's us, like that categorization, right? Who's us, so when we have a hard time defining, are we African American, are we Asian, are we this and that? So we're already conflicted, right? Imagine times 3 million, which is how many people view us or whatever. Imagine that. Everyone's conflicted of who they identify with. What people. So as long as we continue to compartmentalize, and wow, this is a great 360 because it goes back to what we said earlier, how we compartmentalize socially where we fit in. What character is you? What character are you? Right. So are you the militant guy answering this question, or are you the super music fan that says free fucking Che Guevara? You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're so. When I think on a few episodes back, we always said that the multi-platform evolution of man has to coexist. We exist on 30 platforms, 50, 100 platforms.
Multi-platforms.
We don't exist on one plane. We don't live on this monolithic law of life, which several people have tried to exploit, which several people have tried to decode, and etc. But because we can accept diversity when it comes to our skin or our complexion or our flavor, how much salt you put on a fucking potato or whatever. But we can't accept it when it comes to government. We can't accept it when it comes to things that mean. But we should.
But do we accept that diversity?
No. I don't. No, we accept. Conveniently, we accept it. We accept it when it's, hey, I like to ride bicycles on Sunday in Brooklyn, and without a helmet, or these are my rights, or I need a right to bear arms. This is part of the now I play the letter. Now I play the letter of the Constitution to my advantage. I have the right to bear arms. Oh, okay, but the state of so and so says you don't. You have to have a license to do this. You have the license to do it. So we're conveniently finding portfolios and profiles to put ourselves in and compartments. And I think we just ran out of fucking boxes to check. I think we ran out of.
That's a fucking excellent.
You know what I'm saying? I think we just ran out of.
We've ran out of fucking.
We ran out of compartments, man. With this,
there's no more. Right.
So it's overspilling. Now you got fucking new categories. You got transgender. You got fucking people doing all kinds of crazy, which always existed. It was never new.
Right, never new. Right,
it was never new,
right.
But because they weren't we had 57 boxes to pick from. Mm-hmm. These fucking guys were outside. That's what out of the closet mean. They were out of the scope of the range of acceptable humans.
Right.
Now you've took that and blacks, slaves, etc., were somewhat on the out tipping in, and in numbers, we've just included ourselves into the grand scheme of things and said, no, you can't discount us. We're not on the outside. We're not the sidebar. We're not the freaks of the show. We are the show.
We are the show.
We're the main thing. So again, Hollywood plays a big part of it because it's how it's portrayed. Because it's how it's portrayed to the average person who's stupid,
Stop. Rewind.
Okay.
Did you just say the average person is stupid? That's what I just heard.
Yes. I said no. I said to Hollywood who appeals, or maybe I didn't say that word, but I meant that it appeals to the average person who is stupid and doesn't accept anything other than what he sees on a television. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it I didn't mean that people in itself are stupid.
Right, no.
But I meant that
that's a subtle difference, but yes. Okay,
yes, it's very subtle, but very different in its entirety. But because there are people who only know what they've seen on TV. Right. There are people like that. Right. There are people you've moved to. To the Midwest. You've moved west.
I know people whose only reference. Listen, I was with a group of dudes. We were in a theater group, and everybody just knew that we were Boys to Men. In Iowa.
What?
So we were.
Were you guys singing?
No. We were in a it was in a
theater group.
It was a theater competition at the when I was with the University of Missouri. We went and we stopped. We were in this diner, and there was like 6 of us. 4 of us were black, and these. And I hate stereotyping.
These guys.
These guys. These white girls were sitting over there in the corner.
Okay.
And you saw them over the. So we knew that they were like saying something.
They were clamoring about something.
And it was about us.
Yeah, right.
And it was about us. And so one of them approached one of the other dudes. And said, "Can we get your autograph?"
Come on. And
he said yes. And
shit.
One of the girls said, "Are you performing at?" And I can't remember the name of the venue. Are you performing at so and so?
Did he say yes?
And I think somebody else said, So we really can't we really can't discuss
he played
stuff.
into
it. He played that stuff.
He definitely played into it
and whatnot. And then the other girl said I love this one particular song. And I said, oh shit, these girls think we're fucking Boys to Men.
How do I?
Oh my god! And I was like, I can't remember the point we were making before that.
No, I don't remember either. But we were talking about how assumption people are stupid because of what they see and only have had exposure via a media format, whether it be TV, news, or whatever else, and that people have been somewhat brainwashed. I remember Bill used to tell us all the time, it was like the box, that thing is here to brainwash you. It was put here.
It's called an idiot box.
It was called an idiot box for a reason, and don't believe it. Like, don't put your eggs in it. Like, don't make sure don't let it lead you.
Well, and that's easy for us to do.
Yeah.
That's easy for us who live in New York.
Sure.
We go,
well, you have several interjections of it. You have several ways to get it.
Of different people, and so So there's no when
and we're back.
We're back.
Pizza break. Pizza bourbon break.
Pizza's always good. Pizza's one of those things that, like, it doesn't really matter like what's going on. Like, if there's pizza, people's like, oh, okay. I'll stop and whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, it's not
I'll stop feeding my kids and have pizza.
It's not event specific. Like It doesn't matter. It could be a party. It could be, I don't know. It just works. Kind of simple format. Simply works.
Woo! We're talking about a lot of shit before we left.
I know. We we went there, and I think that's kind of what the microcosmic of just today is. So many topics are just prevalent in everybody's every day, and I think we just all trying to find a way to compartmentalize them and put them into some sort of a bucket,
right?
And call it something. Labels really hurt people, like, by classifying it, because if you don't check all the boxes for that category, then someone will say you're not this. You know what I'm saying? You're not, or you are, or maybe you aren't.
Well, what we're learning is that it's hurting us because we've become so extreme.
Right.
Is that once you label somebody something,
yeah,
well, then you start off with saying, oh, well, this person is that.
Right.
And then you sort of discredit the things they have to say.
You say, aha, but they didn't cover this. How could you be a strategicalist if you didn't?
I'll mention this. There is a, I don't know what you call him, sociologist, scientist. His name is Charles Murray. He wrote a book called The Bell Curve.
The Bell Curve?
The Bell Curve.
Okay.
The Bell Curve was very controversial because it basically said that...
is this a scholastic thing? Like, this is like the bell curve in school? Like when they have
that's
the curve grade? Like
that's what named his book.
That's the basis of it?
Right. And so he basically said that, because of what we know about people's IQs, we can predict certain things.
Huh.
So a lot of people took that because, unfortunately...
Literally? Like, you took it literally?
Well, unfortunately, what happens is that black people tend to sit relatively low on the IQ chart.
Yep. Yeah.
Like the average IQ for a black person, I think, is like 90.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 90, like between like 90 and 95 or something like that.
And what's max? Like, what's the?
I think the highest they've rated is like 130.
A person, like Stephen Hawkins or somebody like that.
Yeah. And they've attributed that to certain groups. I think like there's a certain like Kanaska Jews like like 120 or something.
Wait,
something like
what is that word?
Kanaska Jews. Like Jews that came from a particular region.
Oh, this is a people word. This is. Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh. I thought it was like a kilometer or a kilowatt. Right. I thought it was a unit of measurement. Kanaska Jew, like a.
And so basically, he said because of that, we can understand certain things, and he said that in his book. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people went on to say that, well, he's a racist. He says that black people are stupid, blah 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 blah. And I went along with that. I said, yeah, he should have said that. And it took me a while to realize, to say, hey, wait a minute, I never read this book.
Okay. And
so I read this book, and he never says any of that. He didn't say any of that.
Right.
He said, hey, look, the IQs are where they are,
mm-hmm.
and because of that, if you want to believe that,
right,
then you should believe a certain amount of criteria. Now there are other people who definitely go beyond that. Of course,
what's this guy Murray?
His name is Charles Murray.
Charles Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
And I forgot how we started this conversation.
No, keep going. We were just talking about people's and IQs and.
But it sort of goes into the notion that, okay, well, I'm going to put you up with
categorization. Categorization, yes.
I'm going to put you in this categorization. Charles Murray is a racist. Charles Murray believes that black people are stupid and blah, 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 blah. Yep. And so every time Charles Murray says something, regardless of what he says,
right,
you view it in that prism of, well, Charles Murray thinks that black people are stupid and blah, 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 blah. And so whatever he has to say, regardless of how valid it may be or whatever, you've labeled it already.
Yeah.
And so you've discredited it.
But this happens to guys on my side of the fence, the conspiracy theory guys.
I agree with you. Well,
the minute you say the word conspiracy theory, people write it off. They just go, "Oh, you're one of them."
Yes,
and you wear tin hats, and you believe this, and you. But I'm saying, this is a psychosomatic way of just dealing with it, compartmentalizing it. So I think this is a good theme. Because this is just an easy way for you to go, oh, let me put you in this folder.
Right.
It's easy.
Rather than hearing what you have to say.
I don't have to hear you. I just know I need to put you over here. Right. And I already have my canned responses for the people over here.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm not willing to listen to your argument because I've heard it all before. You said 3 key words. Mm-hmm. You said conspiracy, you said lone gunman and whatever. Done. I'm done. You gave me 3. I'm done. You're in this folder, buddy.
Here you are.
I just followed you.
This is you. You're here. Right. I got you. I feel you.
X-Files. You just put the guy in a file, and that happened. X-Files was awesome. And they're trying to bring it back, no? Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They tried to bring it back. You know, I posted a video, one of our podcasts, like a preview video, and I put the X-Files.
Did you really?
And they blocked it.
I didn't notice.
They blocked it. No, they blocked it. They took it down.
Because of the X-Files thing?
I took the
X-Files thing?
Yeah.
Give us some more money, YouTube, and fucking...
It just blocked it. It was like, oh, you can't play this. This is from... I said, yeah, we know it's X-Files. I'll give you fucking credit. I don't care who composed it. But that guy who made that song. But no, you completely... But again, that's what I think the training comes from. Hollywood. Horror. PG.
Well,
rom-com.
Stop. How did we get to Hollywood from
because we've categorized movies... based on, that's that type of a show.
No, we haven't categorized movies. We've categorized we've categorized things to sort of make us a little bit more comfortable with what that is.
Okay, but they went on record by doing it. All I'm saying is Hollywood went on record by saying when a swampy thing comes out of the water and goes, it's a horror movie. Why isn't it a love story? Why is it 2 people fell in love and this monster was in the background, whatever? It's not a love story. It's a horror movie. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is that Hollywood has gone on record with categorization and giving things labels.
So, are you saying that what because we're a society that sort of lived on like Hollywood,
yes, and this is only in America, by the way.
Absolutely.
This is an American thing.
That we have accepted that as to how we are to interpret what we see every day.
So we're constantly trying to rate it. We're trying to file it. We don't know what file cabinet to put it in.
That I can understand.
That's all I'm trying to say is that...
I've come closer to understanding who you are. Yes, that makes...
I want a third ring around Saturn, man.
That makes perfect fucking sense.
It just means that because we've conditioned to somehow they gave us 5 categories. We said, well, where do I put this movie? I don't really think so that's where you get but the movie was kind of dark. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? It was dark. It wasn't. No, but it was kind of had a dark sarcasm. People are constantly looking for new categories or ways to describe because they're not satisfied with what Hollywood gave them. Right? You've told me several times, this movie, Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah, but it's not if you took what it's worth.
I love the Royal Tenenbaums.
I'm describing your personification of the Royal Tenenbaums. If I read what the words say, mm-hmm. what the rating is, the director and whatever else it is, I get nothing. I get a blank stare of but your excitement, each individual person, not just saying you, meaning the perspective, you would say it's more than that. It's more than...
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Hollywood can only give us the fair shake of what they're allowed to, or the teacher can only grade you. And that's all. I'm segueing this only because of we talked about how IQ and like, do we know who's the IQ master? Like, who's the guy who set the rules for IQ? And again, it goes back to what we said about who's the people that set the rules for minimum wage. The bar that was set by this collective mind, this organization of people, and again, it's not a clandestine guys who want to plan to see the end of the world. When people set plans in motion, or organizations, or whatever people say, conspiracy, Illuminati, whatever else, I don't think that they do it. And again, I'll say I don't think that they do it to have this maniacal plan. I think they just do it because it sounded good at the time. It solved the problem of that day.
Right.
And going further, other people found ways to exploit that. Oh, well, they just rule. Like when they agreed 1984 or 5, the 5-cent cans were worth, cans were worth 5 cents. Right. Well, every fucking bum in the city went nuts, and they cleaned up the junkyards. Right. And so they didn't do it to say, hey, let's clean up the junkyards by getting everyone to turn in these. They said, hey, it's aluminum, it's worth something. It's traded on the stock market, for Christ's sakes. It's worth something. Right. Let's get these people to. But what we trade it for is not 5 cents. We trade it for $100 a pound.
Right.
Whatever. So I don't think that this maniacal plan of geniuses in a white room sit and plan it. They plan. It's like an antidote, or it's a prescription, or it's no different than a doctor prescribing your analysis. Hey, this is the problem. Okay, let's fix that.
Right.
And this is the way to fix it. But what about the people? The law of averages don't work in that favor. 90 people say they want this. 10 people say they want that. We're going with the 90. So collateral damage, all of the things that you just mentioned and what I just mentioned, they mesh in that world. They live in that law of averages and smart. So to say that there is a group of people planning out people's future, the answer is yes and no. We are collectively contributing to someone making a decision, to then making a law, to then making minimum wage. I'm going back to where we started.
Is our society becoming just much more fucking complicated? Is it?
I just think we can see what we were never allowed to see years ago.
Right.
You would have to go to a court office and ask for the docket number 30785 and look at the microfilm and figure out was a.
But still, when you look at how like this country was formulated, there's no way that those people could have envisioned the issues that we have today.
No,
are the issues that rule.
No,
our society.
George, there's going to be this interweb of computers and technology. There's no way.
Well, there's no. Because we've made, in many ways we've made tacit agreements to sort of giving away our freedom. Like let's go back like 20 years.
Yeah, 20.
Let's go back 20 years.
Yeah.
Somebody hands you a phone. Say, hey, this is the fucking shit.
Yeah.
And with this device, you'll be able to access a certain amount of information. You'll be able to, to do all types of. There's a tremendous amount of functionality that you have.
Mm-hmm.
That, and your ability to access it is probably something that you're not even able to comprehend.
Right.
On the other hand,
I'm going to tell you something.
On the other hand, you will be monitored on how you use it.
Yep.
And there will be companies who will pay other companies money to say that, okay, well, now that we see what this person is looking at, we'll create a psychological profile to feed you advertisement that you will more than likely be intrinsically inclined to accept.
Yeah.
and you'll go ahead and you'll go
say
along
yes
with that, and and at the same time you'll also you reject any notion of limiting your connection to that particular device. And oh, by the way, we can like look at that camera that you have, which goes both ways.
Yeah.
And we'll look at that microphone that you have, and we'll be able to listen to any conversation that you have, without your knowledge of it and stuff like that. Would you sign up for
that? He said a lot.
Because that's what we have now.
Yeah. Yes. You're. Yes, I agree. But some would say that that's what the Bible said, right?
What?
Again, it's a fortune cookie. It sounds the way you want it to sound. I could pick any line, that's paper. Anything that you said, I could. Oh, here's a verse in the Bible that says what you just all the points you just made. If we bullet pointed that, I could find a verse in the Bible that could debunk that and say yes, we were told.
But the question becomes: would you, if you had known that what you have tacitly agreed to trade away, if that was in your hands 15, 20 years ago, would you have signed up for that?
I don't think. No, I don't think it was a. It's not a. It was never a signing. Like you didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask to. Those. That's where that goes. That goes.
But this has happened incrementally over the course of time. I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay. So let me transcribe it to what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes, because when I was baptized. And my pastor said, "Do you agree to this? Do you agree to this? Do you agree?"
Your pastor didn't ask you shit when you were baptized.
What do you mean?
You?
Yes.
When you were baptized?
Yes.
You were 9 months old.
No. When I committed to my church.
Okay. All right.
When I knew birth,
okay.
Me and my wife, we committed to the church. He completely said, "Yeah, you've probably had this ceremony when you were a kid, etc.
Okay.
This is you coming in a conscious mind. Are you prepared to do this? Are you prepared for this? Are you Are you willing to accept the Lord and Savior? Blah, 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 blah. And so the answer was yes. So again, I go to the Bible verse of saying when religion asks that of people, religion asks it of you. You typically do what iTunes does. Yes. Because in that moment, you're not going to say no. At what point would you say no? No, I don't. Wait. Would you say I gotta what? You don't disagree with a higher. You say yes, and you try your best to abide by the subscription. Mm-hmm. So I've downloaded shit. I got a letter in the mail that says you said you wouldn't do this. I said, fuck. What do you mean? Well, we're gonna shut your Verizon account down because you downloaded movies, and here are the steps to not do this anymore. And here's a slap on the wrist, but we will report this to the studio that made a claim. You're gonna claim for fucking downloading Shanghai Noon, the stupidest fucking movie. I didn't even watch it. I didn't even watch it. I downloaded it because download. Would you want to? I'm good. Shanghai Noon.
Better fucking movie.
I know. I could have got a better pink slip. I got a pink slip for Shanghai Noon with Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan or whatever it is. I'm just going to say is that it said when I got the letter, it said you said you wouldn't download.
So,
you said you wouldn't. You said.
So now, as we progress,
right?
As we progress, and as we move forward, with artificial intelligence, as we move forward with AGI, and as we have sort of demonstrated that, okay, well, we have like tacitly agreed to like all these like incremental steps of sort of giving up our
freedoms, privileges,
privacy, whatever. Okay. So now let's move this forward. Let's say another 100 years.
Yeah.
And artificial intelligence has basically says, hey, I can keep you completely safe, But I need to know everything you do.
You know, this is what if Superman fights the Hulk? I mean, these are
no. Because this is on our doorstep.
It is on our doorstep.
This is on our doorstep.
It is, but
and this is and because we have the technology is there, so which AI and we're creating algorithms.
Yes.
That we are not part of the equation anymore.
Okay, so let's go.
We created algorithms in which this entity that we have said, hey, this would be a great thing.
Yeah, we've submitted to it. We've subserviently.
You don't need our input anymore. Right. You can go ahead and we'll give you the sort of like evolutionary power, right. Even though we don't understand what fucking Darwinism is, and that's a whole other fucking
whole other podcast.
There's a whole other
that's a series.
That's a year's worth of
that's a series. Yeah, it goes series.
We don't understand that. We're basically saying we're going to give this entity the authority to do that.
Yeah.
Even though we know that evolution says, hey, wait a minute, things grow because we have experienced things, and because you know what, we didn't like that one, so we're gonna choose this one. So we're a little bit more inclined to that one.
No, but I hear what you're saying,
and it's not a conversation that you've had fucking.
No, a couple of bullets. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. But most of this, I'm a firm believer in you live by the sword, you die by the sword, right? So you came in on the horse you left on, or whatever. You can't switch so the Constitution, okay, which is the letter of the law which we all Americans live by, right? And the amendments, etc. To this day, that letter has been challenged. It's been thrown darts at. It's been people, but it's not changed. Okay, right. And it still exists.
Right.
It is still a document that is forthstanding in this country. Mm-hmm. It is for all, whether some people acknowledge it or not. Right. I'm not taking away that.
Right. Regardless of what we do, that is the basis by which we either derive or defeat.
What it sounds to me, I could be wrong. What it sounds to me is what you're asking is, do we subscribe to a digital constitution as a way of, because no one signed up for a constitution. No one agreed to it other than the founders and the people that were there. You were born into a constitution, right? So you never said, as a baby, do you sign a constitution? Yes. You never said that. You never agreed to it.
Gotcha.
You were born into it. So you were tacit. What do you say? Tacit.
Right. You tacitly agreed to follow these.
Okay, so your parents agreed to it by having a baby here. They could have said, no, we don't like the rules of this country. We're leaving.
Right.
They didn't.
Right.
So they stayed here, and et cetera, and you were born into it. So that's the tacit agreement. That's the tethered agreement. You have because you live here.
Right.
By proximity. That's just the law of the land. Law of the land. So without changing that, without going beyond the Constitution and whatever else, what I think you're saying, what I kind of get what you're going at is and I'm gonna just switch it, juxtapose it a little bit.
Right.
Are people creating a new constitution by living a digital life? So I don't live specifically in America. I live on the web. I live here. So Google's whatever office is in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. That's not America. Mm-hmm. You're asking me to abide by American principles, but you're in Hong Kong. You're somewhere else. You're in the Netherlands. You're in whatever else. So again, I just switched. All I did was just switch it around and turn it into, are we asking Americans to subscribe to a digital constitution? Is that next? Is that next? Is that, well, you said it was on the doorstep. So is that on the doorstep?
No.
Okay.
No, my retort to that would be no.
Okay.
Because we've never challenged the Constitution to the extent of saying, hey, these rights that we have, well, we need to change them or we need to modify them.
I just think that humans will make them obsolete. Like, the humans are finding every way possible
to make what obsolete?
The Constitution.
Humans will make the Constitution obsolete?
Humans are constantly proving ways that it's obsolete.
So then what would be what would be the foundation by which you conduct like everything, anything, business, or walk down the street or
okay, so let's and this is a whole new series, but go to the fact of regular commerce or regular anything that we do, what you just said, walk down the street and do all that. None of that is constitutional. You know what I'm saying? None of that. If you take away the Constitution, it doesn't stop you from doing it.
No, but the manner in which you do it is a byproduct of that.
Right. So going to, again, compartmentalization and categorization.
Right.
African Americans weren't part of that. You know what I'm saying? If we go there, if you're saying African Americans were not considered part of that.
But would it have changed?
Nothing. But should we abide by it? Is it? Hey, you know what? We're fighting for a constitution that's not written for us. It was written for powder wig guys and bonnet.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could also say that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence is the thing that was used to say, hey, wait a minute, we're treating these people differently, other than the law that which we said we're going to abide by.
Right. So if it's the law of the land, if it's the law of the land, if it's the law of the land, then I think we all owe it to ourselves to go back to that document and look at it and make sure it applies to everyone. Right. And make sure it's sound. Right. Make sure today it works. And if there's why hasn't there ever been another amendment?
That's a very interesting question.
That's what's crazy to me.
That's a very interesting question.
You amended it once. Because something. What changed to start the amendment? They figured out something else. They figured out that banks and money and this and that. Something caused an amendment. Right. We are entitled to an amendment. Right. We are entitled to an amendment.
Who's we?
The Americans. Okay. I'm only facing it based on Americans because I don't live in another country and I don't know other than what I've visited, etc.
I just didn't understand.
No, I'm saying so. Americans, the modern American, is entitled to an amendment.
But should we change? But should we change? Even though the times are different, should we change the foundation under which we build our society?
No. Core values somehow have to, but at least it should be looked at and explored and says, hey, this doesn't really apply to every. Now you have to take the word American. Every American citizen that would be the answer. Does this apply to a minimum wage American? Does this apply to the homeless American? Does this apply to the, guy born here wants to get the fuck, whatever it is? I think we're due. I just don't want us to succumb to a digital constitution where that's the way of, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of us succumbing to. Yes. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? Yes, that's why I was going with it. Yes. I'm afraid of us saying yes to iTunes because it's easy, because it's convenient. I'm afraid of us saying, well, Apple kind of figured this whole thing out. Let them run the fucking country. That's what I'm afraid of.
So if I can paraphrase what you're trying to say. Whatever development we've come to understand and even accept, that development has to succumb to the notion of this is the ground base to which we have decided that our society is going to live. Right. If it can't do that, then we are going to.
It's got to go.
It's got to go now.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Now, this is the point you brought up before. Yeah. This chick at the UN, and her name is I think it's Sophia.
The robot.
Yeah. Whatever. So then how much do we give artificial intelligence and the artificial intelligence that allows the opportunity to sort of like learn from its own mistakes? How much do we give that credence over what we say our laws are? Because what if artificial intelligence comes back and says, "Hey, this law you have is kind of fucking stupid."
Right.
If you kind of like eliminate that, well, things will be better. But then the consensus amongst us is say, well, wait a minute, this is kind of like the foundation to which we believe that we should be living.
Right.
How much do we give that credence?
Okay, so
how much do we look at that and say, maybe we should or should not? Because the ultimate thing is that, I've always thought that like the ultimate thing is like the fucking Terminator.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
sure.
I'm with you. We're gonna empower things to the point of them saying, "Hey, look, what? The kind of thing that's like getting in the way is you."
Yeah.
And so let's fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Let's destroy you.
Yeah.
And then we'll
things will be easy.
And everything will be fantastic.
But and again, I agree that the biggest thing of all of this is, this goes. I'm gonna go left, but it's gonna tie in. At what point do you retest a 98-year-old person for a driver's license? You don't. Okay?
You just assume that a 98-year-old person
understands.
Should not be driving.
No. He's entitled to drive. He has a license to drive. Legally, he has the right to drive. He's senile. So, again, go to the Constitution.
Okay, but
we don't test again.
Yes, we do. We do test people to drive.
My grandfather, Rakesh's grandfather, had a driver's license. Okay. He was unfit to drive.
Okay.
He had a valid driver's license.
Okay.
He was not fit to drive, and he hadn't had it for 10 years or whatever else.
Okay, but we do ask people at a certain point in their life to.
What's the test?
Validate?
What is it? It's an eye exam.
Why don't
It's an eye exam. You don't road test again. You don't test dexterity. You don't test the new laws driving under LED lights. This is a new world we live in.
Okay.
They don't do that. They don't do ABC 1, 2, 3.
You just did two things. You just said we and then they.
Yeah.
So we don't do that.
Yeah, meaning the driver's license bureau or the Department of Motor Vehicles.
But we as a society don't do that.
Right.
Okay.
It's not available. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So we and they, in that case, is the drivers or Department of Motor Vehicles.
Right.
Okay, if we want to call them out by name, the Department of Motor Vehicles gives you an eye exam. That's it. You go to their office, you go there, you pay the $57. Can you read the first line? 1, 2, 3. Now, at that point, they say, oh, you're impaired. You can only drive from daytime to whatever else. Stamp, here's your new license. You do not test the road again. You don't go back on the road and do driver's ed and do a road test.
So you like to see those people being tested?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I want to see with the Constitution. I want to see it. I want to see it driven and tested.
Okay.
And I'm making the analogy.
No, I understand. I got you.
Because these are synonymous for why other things exist in the same path.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just assumed that it's law, it's written, the Magna Carta and all that other stuff. It's just assumed that that's the way.
How the fuck did the Magna Carta come into what you just said?
Because
I think you're trying to be smart.
No, right. I'm just saying that because I'm using royal diction.
No.
In a simple frame of.
Right.
You just assume that the word this is law.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying by it. And with that, with driver's licenses, with all of the certificates. But so why isn't our Constitution eligible?
So why isn't our Constitution tested?
Yeah, and why right? And why hasn't it been at least like the one thing they left out in 1776 or whenever they wrote it or whatever else was? At what point we should review this in the next 100 years?
It's a fantastic point.
Somebody should have said, this contract is up for renewal in 100 years. And we'll talk to the people and see how. So did they assume that we would live that way forever?
For infinity, okay.
We would pelt and we would skin bucks and we would grow corn. And did they believe that and we would have slaves and we would have... Did they believe that way we would not evolve? So that's all I'm saying is there no that point elasticity into what? I grant you. I am what was that? Yo, the bird. I am afraid of resetting the clock and people going, oh, we get to put our 2 cents in, and maniacal people of today get to change trajectory of history.
I want few stupid people involved in this fucking process. Right. Exactly. I see what you're saying.
But that room, the Constitution, you could look at photos and whatever else, Michelangelo drawings, whoever drew those, whatever. There were 15 people in the room, man. 20 people. It was a small crowd. Right. This was not a 300 million decision.
And there was no way to do that.
Right.
And which also begs the question, like, do we need a federal government to mandate to people to which you really have no... I mean, listen, Donald Trump has been president for this year.
Yeah.
How much of your life has really been affected this year? I can say not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. I've been pissed off by a lot of shit.
Yeah, I think emotionally, I think roller coaster wise, people
wise and stuff like that. So, okay, no. So, do we really need like a figurehead to dictate the path of what, close to 400 million people?
Yeah, that's why I like the comedians and stuff like Doug Stanhope and this guy.
Doug Stanhope is fucking awesome.
He's just out there. Like, this guy has no filter.
And he doesn't fucking...
he has no filter. But I think he said it, and I think somebody else said it, saying that, that rule was made for a small amount of people.
Right.
And it doesn't apply today. It really has...
Yeah.
It does not... Trying for us... The biggest fight that we're having, that's why it goes into Zen, that's why they split to 2 parties, because they just, you take those guys, you take this guy.
You take these guys, right.
Because you just can't manage. You
just can't manage it.
You can't manage 400 million people. I don't even know what the population is in America is today.
It's over 300 million.
It's over 300 million.
Over 300 million.
So 300 million, you really think that this law really... So that is a bigger question that maybe for another series of podcasts and maybe for another series of things. And I welcome any... I don't saying we have the solution, but bringing it to the nerve is where we're going to find some sort of just trying to figure out what people are thinking.
I really got to piss. Okay.
Pizza break.
Yes.
The bullet is back. No, but, oh, it's still ice.
Yeah, there's still ice.
Yeah, there is. No, it's so many ways you could take, American history, which I meant to ask Ron after we talked about it on the last podcast, like, what the hell are they teaching these kids in school? I would be very interested to know. What are they teaching them about American history?
Right.
About we just saw me and my wife just saw Thurgood Marshall, the Marshall movie with Chadwick Bo Boswell, whatever his name is. Great fucking movie.
Okay.
We really enjoyed the way they did it. I was just annoyed that you're trying to wrap a guy who had such a devastating and immensely influence on the legal system of civil rights and etc. to one case. Like, they only the movie was all... I'm sorry to spoil anything, but it was a one case movie. It was like all about one case.
Brown versus Board of Ed?
No, wasn't even that.
Okay.
Wasn't even that. It was all about a rape case in Connecticut.
Okay.
Of all places, Connecticut or Greenwich, Connecticut. Yeah, of all places. And while it spoke a lot about the bigotry and the so and so, it just zeroed in on this one case, and I'm sorry to take it away from anybody if you didn't see it yet, but it was a good microcosmic of how the system was just separately designed, and he committed to that and said, we know this Constitution wasn't written for us, but we will make it work for us because we live here.
Who's us?
Americans.
Okay.
They kept saying,
whoa. The Constitution wasn't written for us.
For African Americans.
Okay.
Meaning, but he would never commit to saying African Americans. He says, I'm an American too. I live here. You brought me here. My grandfather was brought here. I live here now. I know it wasn't written for me, but I'll make it work for me. I'm going to use the law. He was committing to the law of the land.
Okay.
And he said, this is the law that we've agreed to by living here. I could move. I could go somewhere else and say, I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. But since I live here, I'm going to use your own words, what you've written in books and said is the law, to work to make sure it's fair. You know what I'm saying? So every time he showed constitutionally or where it was that it didn't work for race, he was faced with this bigotry of, well, that's what we said, where that doesn't apply to you. You know what I'm saying? And he constantly, his whole fight was based on that, of how goose gander. You can't write this word. This word doesn't say, if a black man does this, he can't do that. Or a white man does. It didn't say that. It says, if a man, if a person, if a human commits this, so he constantly referred to the law of the land and used it in every facet to say, show me where it says a black man is different than a white. Why is he adjudicated differently? And by showing him the law. And you had judges saying, I don't care what that says. Not in my court, when they had their power. So that's where I think a lot of people rest their loins on the unfairness of it, and they chalk it up to, and they categorize it and put it in that fold of, well, you're not going to give me a fair trial anyway, so why would I even abide by the right? This is the Pac theory. Tupac did that constantly. You're not gonna hear me out. So what difference does it make what I say? You already judged me. You already put me in a box. Right. You already filed me away in that file cabinet under thug, rapper, etc. You counting my tattoos and you counting. He says, I'm not married. Right. Being promiscuous is not illegal. Mm-hmm. I could, but because it didn't go her way, she could charge me with this. Now you guys say, hey, we got him. So those, like what we said earlier, we wish we had a 50-year-old Pac. We wish we had, those are some. I would love a Bob Marley. I would love a John Lennon. I would love I would love a lot of those guys today. I would wonder how they would be. I would wonder what the world would be with those guys today. Yeah. Yeah, because they were revolutionary. They were
revolutionary, and they spoke to something. And they spoke to something beyond, probably beyond our conceptualization of what it was. Yeah, like George Carlin was another guy.
Yeah, George Carlin.
Towards the end of his career, he started. He was saying things that at the time, was just like funny, but then now you look at it, you go, oh, fuck it, this is, this guy was saying something.
What about Patrice O'Neill? You like Patrice O'Neill?
I love Patrice
O'Neill. Well, he was on that level.
He was another guy too.
He reached. It's a lot to be said about guys that reach that plateau, and unfortunately, their demise gets convoluted with all this other stuff. Well, it's unfortunate. Patrice O'Neill was just great. He was
just a great guy.
But was he great alive that it was that, or
No, I think he was. I think he was a great. Well, here's one thing: you have to look at number one. You have to look at his work.
Yeah.
Was his work substantial?
Sure.
Yes, it was
sure.
substantial.
Sure.
Was the accolades he got from his peers substantial? Absolutely.
Mm.
Everybody looked at a Patrice O'Neill and said that Patrice O'Neill was...
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I only know what I could see on what I can Google and what I can see.
He didn't hit that. And unfortunately, we look at dudes and we say, well, Patrice O'Neal, well, he didn't like fill up an arena like a Kevin Hart did.
Oh, no.
And so, and unfortunately,
but if that didn't happen,
conflated.
Kevin Hart wouldn't be. I don't think they would. No, I'm sure.
You couldn't have one at the other.
No, I'm sure of it.
In my opinion.
I'm sure of it. I'm sure that if there wasn't an Aaliyah, there wouldn't be a Beyonce. If there wasn't you know what I'm saying? Like if there wasn't a Ciara, you know what I'm saying? There's certain people that are cogs in the wheel that would not the future of them would not exist. Right. I mean, I'm certain of that. You just can't prove it. I can't make people see it.
Hopefully we're able to look at, and it goes to what we said earlier. Can you look at the whole body of what it is and say that this is a beautiful thing? So, you look at Kevin Hart. You love Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's fantastic.
Right.
Okay. Well, but do you say, I don't like Kevin Hart. I like Dave Chappelle.
Right.
And do you create that divide that says, okay, well, I'm going to choose one or the other, as opposed to saying, well, geez, both of these two guys are fucking geniuses.
Just comedians, right?
These guys are fantastic. And everybody who is a
fan,
a road comic, a guy that hasn't made it, will look at Kevin Hart's work and say Kevin Hart's work is just as legitimate as anybody who works in any freaking
circuit,
honky tonk club, or whatever.
I get that.
As far as like how he like develops his stuff, and there's a certain artistry to it, to which you have to pass the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the sort of like the old songs.
Well, you got to get your cred. You got to get your
right.
cred.
You got to get your cred.
You got to get your street cred. Yeah, you got to get your.
And
your
Kevin Hart's got his cred. Yeah. And so yes, his cred, and the end result is he gets to play to like 18,000 people.
Yeah.
But he's got the same cred as somebody who does 200 seats in freaking Reno.
Yeah, but like a guy like Charlie Murphy, right? Like Charlie Murphy, God bless, who kind of by his brother's association.
By association, yes.
Didn't rest on it.
No.
He went and did his own thing,
right?
And his stories, and I'm sure several comedians can attest to him putting in that work,
right?
Putting in, but he got a pass because he was Eddie Murphy's brother.
He got a pass. He didn't get
that. But that wasn't. So look at Tony Rock, Did he get the same pass? He didn't get the same pass. He got the same opportunity, but Tony Rock, by far, is no Charlie Murphy, bro. And so why is it necessary that we must compare, right?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Totally different animals.
Because if I have to compare, Tony...
No fucking comparison.
Tony Rock sucks.
No comparison.
I think I...
Good-looking gentleman.
Listen.
He can stand up. He can host a circus.
Props to him.
He can host whatever else.
Props to him. Right. You are legions beyond anything that I have ever achieved. Whatever.
But if he wasn't Chris Rock's brother,
God damn it,
he'd be Tony fucking Pebble. He wouldn't be some fucking such thing as Tony Rock. He'd be Tony Pebbles. Trust me. That's all I'm trying to say. Is that Charlie Murphy was a guy that, and maybe because he's not here anymore in the flesh, that we can memorialize him in that kind of fashion.
Yes.
So
but we do that. We like,
yes, that's what
it's kind of like when like somebody passes away.
Yeah.
We kind of like say, oh, okay, they're gone. We can like act like
you can look how good they were.
These were great people.
Yeah.
Like when Nate.
What happens at every funeral?
Well, listen. When Nate Dogg died, all of a sudden he became a hip hop legend. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, Nate Dogg is a fucking hip hop legend? How the fuck did that happen?
He drank himself to death.
Exactly. So this, like okay, yes, he was the voice on a couple of nice cuts that might have been like exactly. How the fuck did that make him a hip hop legend? Legend?
I saw the documentary. No. Documentary made him look good, though.
Let's stop using some of these fucking words.
I agree. Stop using legends. Stop using legend.
Legend? No.
Nah, not legend.
So Nate Dogg is Rakim. I mean, come on.
Nah.
Come on.
No.
Nate Dogg is Tupac.
No.
Nate Dogg is Eazy-E.
No.
Nate Dogg is what?
Listen. So do we need another word? Do we need? Is that? See, this is. But this is where this is what we talked about. The whole podcast has been about compartmentalization, categorization, and somehow identifying things. And I think people just need it. They just need to put it in a file. There's so much gigahertz of shit.
But why do we need to attribute greatness to which established greatness would not substantiate that person's fucking work?
Listen, my godson was here for Christmas, Jonathan, and I took a line from Louis C.K., right? Uh-huh. And what I said, he said, everything he said was, oh, it's amazing, it's amazing. I was like, you equate every fucking thing to amazing? So I totally plagiarized Louis C.K. I didn't care what they said. The guy was fucking funny.
Still is.
He said, if Jesus came and you said he's amazing, but earlier you said these wings are amazing, are the two the same? The word can't mean both. It can't. You know what I'm saying? Fucking genius. So I'm asking my godson. I'm like, John, if he comes, if Jesus came, would that be amazing? He said, yes, it'd be amazing. But the wings they were just as amazing. Like that's the same. Like so.
Well, if Jesus came back, he'd have a lot of fucking questions.
I think he'd be fucking.
He'd be like, dude. Oh, yeah, it's my birthday.
I never said any of this shit.
Like, what? Why is this tree here? Who the fuck said anything about a tree? I didn't say anything about a goddamn tree.
I think I was born in May, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't even called December then. It was
What the fuck is all this going on? And why is all these fucking... What's all this fucking decorations going on?
Where these little balls come
shit?
from?
Started looking through the Bible. I didn't say anything about this shit. What the hell's... What's...
My father never said...
He never said shit about this. Who said this?
My father said none of this. No, it's super interesting, and I think we've rationalized one thing out of this. We just ran out of fucking boxes. We've ran out of boxes.
That what you said is
that's real.
We've run out of boxes to check, and we're trying to
we're just making shit up.
Create new boxes.
We're making shit up.
Exactly.
We are making shit up as we go along. This guy is this. Listen, there's a lot of words that have. Damn, who put it out? Maybe Wikipedia, whatever else, put out the top 100 words of something that were not spoken anymore.
Okay.
And a lot of those come off like what's the shit on the bike? I posted it one day. It was a 10-speed bike, a derailleur,
Okay.
Nobody says that anymore.
Right.
Like
exactly.
It's just like some stupid words that just don't get spoken anymore, and that they just fall off. Can you remember when Chipotle came on? When did it happen? As a kid, peppers were peppers.
Right.
Chipotle. Right. When did a chipotle pepper or whatever else, jalapeno made its way somewhere along the line?
Right.
So these things
were
like language. We've constantly evolved and introduced new things to it. It won't be the end of it, and I don't think there's a cap on words in the vocabulary dictionary.
Right.
This is why they don't print encyclopedias no more.
Right.
Fucking, if you found a dictionary, for Christ's sakes, I think those are even outdated now.
You're probably right.
Because one thing when you remember Ebonics? You remember when Ebonics?
Yes, I do.
So interestingly enough, and I know this is another topic I don't want to spin off, but interestingly enough, I had an argument with somebody about Ebonics, right? And it's one of my friends who's super ignorant. I won't say his name. But he's a, they try to come with that Ebonics shit, try to understand what we talking about, you know what I'm saying? And I said, you fucking dickhead. What they did by incorporating Ebonics into legal wording was so that when your fucking ass is on court trials talking about, he flipped me 2 birds, I gave him 1 back, blah, blah, blah. That's now a bird equals cocaine, right? So these people took Ebonics, converted it to legal diction, so that under the RICO law, people could be prosecuted for crimes. So that you now have, we gave a testimony, it was all in Ebonics.
Right.
Okay, well, we now have a dictionary for that. Someone put out a dictionary,
so and
it's translatable.
Right.
It's now documentable, and it's now like if you said, you flip me 2 pesos, whatever. Pesos is dollars. So you can there's no argument against that. But if you say to me, he gave me 2 birds for this and that, what's a bird? Oh, in Ebonics, a bird means cocaine and 20 grams of this and that. So people looked at the overall and said, they just trying to understand how we, you know what I'm saying, shim. No, they're trying to decipher you.
Lock your ass up.
Trying to lock your ass up for the shit that you're saying that you think is a code. And that's constantly like the one thing about inner city or urban or whatever you want to fucking call it. Again, with labels, we're kind of stuck with calling it something. We have to call it something. So we're bound by, which goes to the dinosaur complex and all this other stuff. Like people just say,
what the fuck is the dinosaur complex? The
dinosaur complex is like a Stegosaurus never called himself a Stegosaurus.
Okay.
He never had the right. He never named it. He never.
Right.
He never. Someone else. Named it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Okay.
So to say that pterodactyl said, Rah!
Got you.
Pterodactyl would be what you just said in Jesus. I never sound like that. Pterodactyl come back and be like, man, I spit fire. He may not have sound like that, but somehow on a recording we got it and we go, this is the the dinosaur complex.
Gotcha.
I don't think that's been coined by anyone. I just think people say it.
Well, you just fucking...
I may have coined it, But I'm just saying that we constantly have a need to put things in boxes and place them into...
So where we understand it, right.
So that we understand it and we can continue to have a conversation or healthy. If it's not in the one of the boxes that you know of, the person you're talking to says, I have... What you just said it just now. You just said it just now. What the fuck is that? So by not asking that question, if you're not, a vocal smith and you can't word it, you just kind of sit at like you said before, it's good to be in a conversation and just listen and just sit back and go, these guys were talking a whole other language. When Mike Myers' Body Snatcher movement was going on, we were signing that LaFace Records and all that stuff. The label told us, you guys have another language. Like, we don't know what you're saying. Like, we get it. Sonically, they heard the sounds and stuff, but they said, y'all talk different. Like, what are y'all saying to each other? Like, we don't get it.
Okay.
And they were interested, but they were afraid to say, we're down with this new way.
They were investing in.
They were afraid to, you said it right there. They were afraid to invest in this new language of broken,
because I can't define it,
right? Because they couldn't define it, but they didn't know how they would get received by their peers. If they went to Sony and be like, we got these kids, the Body Snatchers, they say,
what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and we were speaking product of the environment language. We were speaking kind of juice movies, we were rapping, and plus what we saw in real life. So we kind of embodied that and had our own language, and it was the ultimate demise to us because people just said, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Come with 20, roll me up 550, this, that, okay. You guys sound, it's fun, but then when Wu-Tang did it, and it was synonymous with it. Wu-Tang was doing it at the same time. They had their own language, they had their own crew, they had their own style, they had their own stuff. So they were like hearing 2 different langues and saying, but people like the Wu-Tang. Can you guys sound like the Wu-Tang? Can you guys do the Wu-Tang language? And we were like, no, we're trying to do our thing. Right. We're trying to do the Body Snatcher language. We're trying to say our shit. We got sandwiches named after us in the store. We got a Body Snatcher beef patty, which was fucking great. It was a beef patty. Body Snatcher patty was a beef patty, cocoa bread with cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, and some sauce inside of it, and it was fucking awesome. And Punch and the guys used to make it. Want a Body Snatcher patty? Yes. So man, we've Covered a lot today.
You know, I want as we go into 2018.
Yeah.
I want to say that this is more than just doing a podcast.
It is more than a podcast.
This is more than just doing a podcast.
Sure it is.
You know, you and I have a long, like strained history.
Super strange.
You know, super strained history. And I think 3-4 years ago, I think we could probably say that we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
We didn't know each other. And I think we got to a point.
I think we thought we knew each other. I think we thought we knew
each other,
yeah.
And the thing we didn't know, we kind of like hated. Oh, what the fuck is that? You know.
I won't say hate. I'll say. You'll say okay.
I'll put that on me.
Okay.
I'll put that on me.
I didn't say hate. I just said.
Put it on me.
I just never cared.
You know?
Like I look at hate versus never cared. Like
and I can honestly say that I think that you know whoever watches
right.
whoever watches this podcast,
right.
whoever
the one fan.
Whoever engages in this podcast,
yeah,
has to understand that what you are watching is two people who have a history together,
sure.
who have finally decided that we need to know more about each other.
Indeed.
Than be strangers to one another.
Right.
And what I hope happens in 2018 is that we become even closer than what we
yeah.
That our families.
Oh, it's happening every day.
That our families become closer.
Indeed.
That the people that we hold dear to ourselves become even closer.
Sure.
Because that's how dare I say that's how empires get built, because they don't get built because one did one with something else. They did because one entity becomes joined with another entity.
Sure.
And
dope.
Listen, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Family.
You and your family.
I love you.
Love you too.
And I hope that that today is the day that we know less about each other than tomorrow.
I think it is already. We already did it.
Yes.
We did already do it. Thank you very much. I love you as well. The sentiments go the same for me. The podcast was never a public thing, and it takes, we spoke about this on several occasions where it takes some bravery, if that's a word. It takes being brave to put your personal... First of all, your personal...
Put your shit out there.
To put your shit out there.
Right,
yeah, you put your shit out there. You put your face out there. Your people are looking, and they're going, oh. And I have friends that go, I can't believe you guys doing this. Like,
Right.
The fuck do you guys talk about for 3 hours?
Yeah, exactly.
And where do you come up with this shit?
So what are you talking about? What are you
and
doing?
we have. Let me tell you something. I'm going to say this. We have yet to go into our personal shit. We have not even gone into any of the crazy stories of what how I saw things and then how he saw them. And they're while not everything is public, not everything is meant for the podcast, not everything is meant for to be shared. And I constantly struggle with this, my wife and others, about how much do you put out there of yourself? How much do you give away? And I don't look at it as us giving away anything.
No.
I look at us gaining.
Absolutely.
We're gaining so much more by having conversation, and the fact that we're able to put it out for everyone to kind of lament in and go, whether they watch or not.
Right.
Whether they watch or not, this is not for them. This is for us. It was for Two Bros, and we started this with the intention of us having dialogue.
Right.
Having healthy dialogue, and I think that the public has just been a little elf on the shelf for us. This is all this has done is given us a voice of saying, well, everyone's watching, so don't let's not kill each other. Let's not, let's where do we go from here? And I think that level, that water level, that water table level of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate comes naturally now.
Right.
It becomes a normal thing of just saying, well, you know what? this is not the place for that. If there's a situation that needs to be talked about, we'll talk about it. But all in all, for anyone watching who has been following the journey and joining the convo, we thank you. We thank you for spending the latter part of us. We discovered this the latter part of 2017. We hope to continue more and more exciting things in 2018 for you and your families, for all of our subscribers, for all our watchers, viewers, listeners, because the listeners are outbeating. I mean, our Mixcloud, SoundCloud, everybody are going way beyond, because anonymity is key. Everybody likes to just be anonymous and listen to it, which is cool because we like that. But I think for everyone going into 2018, please don't make any promises just because the date changes. Make a promise to yourself. Make a promise to your life, your loved ones, and most of all, make a promise to yourself. That's the key to it, because the mirror, unless you're in a fun house, they don't really lie. You know what I'm saying? The mirror is kind of, you can look in the mirror and say, this is the guy I'm making a promise to. So don't do it for us. Don't do it for anyone else. Do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself. And whatever resolutions you have for yourself.
Right.
They got to be for you. So whether it's like to lose weight, spend more time with your kids, like go back to school, whatever, you're doing it because you want to do it.
Because you want to do it.
And I can honestly say that the thing that I want to do, and as far as listening to this podcast, is to get to know my brother better.
Yep.
Hopefully get closer to his family.
Sure.
And hopefully get to a point that, you know what, by the time when we hopefully when we're like 60-year-old men and we can't,
episode 6,000.
Right, exactly. Like, did you get Dad his bourbon? No, Dad needs his bourbon. Go get him his bourbon.
Episode 6,000. Or like the guy in Texas Chainsaw, and he was like, "Hit him, Grandpa! Hit him!" That's fucked up. Hey, man.
I just want to live an honest life. Yep. And I just want to live a life that's encompassed with people that I love. And all I can say is that at the beginning of, as we were ushering in 2017, I had no idea that a relationship with my brother was possible.
Yep.
Now, as I grow in 2018, I cannot wait for the further development of the relationship with my brother.
It's unlimited.
I love you.
Love you too, man.
I love you too, brother.
So, 2 Bros Podcast, episode 15, signing out. We're out of here 2017. It's all about 2018.
2018 is next.
So, we're 15 episodes in. We thank you for joining the convo. We hope you will subscribe to us.
Ben Shapiro, come on our podcast.
Ben Shapiro. I don't think we have to slow the camera down for Ben Shapiro.
We have to slow the camera down. We need room for security.
Yeah. We'll make that happen. So coming in 2018, we got a few things coming. We got a GoFundMe page. We're gonna have several new things, and we'll be on iTunes in 2018.
Yes.
So holla back at your boy. 2 Bros Podcast, episode 15, signing out.
Out.
Bless you and love you.
Love you.
Peace and love, man.
Peace and love.
All right. Peace, everybody.